After 2 weeks of coming up just short of victory, the Miami Hurricanes managed to finish a single point ahead of the North Carolina State Wolfpack on Saturday night at Hard Rock Stadium. And it's absolutely amazing what a difference a W makes as opposed to an L. Suddenly a Canes nation that was counting the days towards replacing Manny Diaz as head coach and maybe even Blake James as athletic director now is left to wonder what happens if the Canes somehow are able to piece together a winning streak here, beginning with this Saturday's game at Pittsburgh. Such a win streak would definitely be a curveball to a university that behind the scenes has been preparing itself for radical change in the way that its athletic department is operated. And that would almost certainly involve hiring a new head football coach and possibly a new athletic director. And so, as the Canes head north for their next challenge, there's a lot of drama, and it's pretty impossible to figure out where all of this is going. Does one single point victory at home on a Saturday night, no less, alter the entire landscape of what Miami football has been and has been experiencing for many, many years now? We'll talk about that for sure tonight on CaneSport Live. And what about the style points? What about the way Tyler Van Dyke looked out there on the football field on Saturday night? How much promise that he seemed to show? Did Miami find a quarterback of the present and future almost by accident? Oh, and what about the injured Jake Garcia? Isn't it a bit premature to consider him an afterthought in the quarterback room? We'll talk about that also tonight on CaneSport Live. And lastly, what about the Canes fans themselves, you guys? Did the performance on Saturday night reform those who imagined that this might actually have been about sitting home and wishing for a loss because it will inspire change? About 45% of fans have admitted that in informal polling on the message boards at CaneSport.com. So where's all this going? What's going to happen? All those thoughts, all those possibilities, all that drama. It's all going to be on the table tonight as we begin this new edition of CaneSport Live. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, and we welcome you once again to CaneSport Live. As always, this is your show. It'll be driven by your participation. The call-in number is 563-999-3550. That's 563-999-3550. We have 100 open phone lines. Plenty of room for everybody to call in and participate. You know the drill by now. You hit the number 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. That puts you in the queue. We bring you in the show in the order that you land in the queue. Again, we're back to our normal call-in number tonight, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit that 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. So many topics to cover tonight. Van Dyke, Garcia, the surge of Charleston Rambo, Bubba Bolden's season-ending injury, and what that could mean as soon as this Saturday. So let's just go right out to your calls and start talking about it. And let's begin tonight in the 305, where you're now live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Good, Gary. How are you this evening?
Doing good. Is it Adam?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up, Adam? Welcome to the number 1 slot tonight. What you got for us?
A couple things. One, I am happy we won. I did not want to see this team go winless till like Georgia Tech. Hypothetically, and I had asked this a couple weeks ago, if we are to run the table, and I think I like Pitt. I think they're a good team, but I think we're more talented than Pitt. I think this entire season, the only team that was more talented than us was Alabama. Hypothetically, if we run the table, do you see Manny getting another year? Because I really don't, because this would be, our recruiting class is small, and every year if we go on a losing streak, this will come back up again.
You know, it's really hard.
Sorry.
I get your question, Adam, and you know, it's a good question. I'm just not sure there's an answer right now. I mean, the first thing I'll say is this: they lost 6 straight games to Power 5 teams. What are the odds of winning 6 straight games against Power 5 teams? I mean, you know, they're so remote. But let's take your contingency and let's say they do run the table. They finish 8-4. Okay. I think that leaves a decision for the board of trustees to make. I mean, you know, right now, Adam, I'm gonna mute you for a minute. There's too much background noise there, but I'll keep answering your question. But you know, the thing is that right now I think there's an assumption that they're not running the table, that this is going to be a 7-5, 6-6 football team. If that ends up being the case, I think there's no question that there's going to be a change. I think that they're preparing for a change. I feel like they're getting their budgeting done. They're getting their ducks in a row. They're doing all the things in the background they need to do and should be doing, short of firing Manny and beginning an all-out search for a head coach. So do they shift gears and say, well, let's give Manny one more year and let's see what happens? I mean, they can do that. Maybe that depends on who they think might be available to them. I mean, that's certainly one consideration they could make. But, you know, the thing is, it's like, I think you only do that if you reasonably expect things to be different next year. Is there any reason to believe that next year this program's going into Texas A&M and being competitive in that game? Clemson's struggling this year, so maybe there's a little bit more hope for a Clemson game next year. But I'm not sure after all these years of these type of seasons that there's a reason to expect that the program would be significantly different next year. So, you know, me, if I'm calling the shots on the board of trustees, that's what I'm looking at. Because every year that goes by that Miami football is like this, all the top recruits from South Florida are leaving South Florida, and that the overall general program is a middle of the pack, non-relevant program in college football, you're probably going to pay for it for 2 years down the road. And I think we're seeing that. You know, the mistakes that were made 3 years ago, they're still paying for 3 years down the road. So if I had to go to a betting window and make a bet on it, Adam, it would be that there will be a change for all those reasons I just mentioned. But it's impossible to predict that as we sit here today totally definitively.
Okay, and then a couple other things. What was with Blake James's statement? I just thought that was really weird. I would have not done that, and again, it just seemed weird. And he didn't invite like 24/7 Sports. I don't know if he invited you to that press conference on Friday.
First of all, no, that you're wrong. This is who he invited. He invited the Miami Herald. He invited the Miami Herald. He invited ESPN. And he invited the Associated Press. And they were each individual phone calls that Blake made to those 3 people. And the intent of it was to get his message out on a national level. It was dumb, number one, I agree, totally dumb. It was disrespectful to Manny Diaz. Mm-hmm. It was disrespectful to the general overall media. And it blew up in his face because Manny did an in-your-face and won the game. It really didn't get the desired impact on a national stage. If you watch Game Day on Saturday morning, they glossed over it for 5 seconds. Basically, Blake came out looking like a fool for doing that. And I don't get what possessed him to do that. But it was if somebody talked him into it, they were wrong. They were misguiding him. If he came up with it himself, it's just the latest, snafu on Blake's part that has put a big damper on his career here at Miami.
Okay, and I know recruiting, we're not even going to get into that till after something Manny is. I see thereafter some transfer portal guys. I heard a guy from Clemson thereafter. That was from 27-47, and then a junior college kid from Syracuse. I know they won't. Is there really any point of recruiting? Because Miami's not going to be able to get a Shamar Stewart, not with all this controversy or all this cloud, or even, unfortunately, Earl Little Jr. or Marvin Jones Jr.
No, they're not getting anybody
Your
right
thoughts?
now. They're all leaving right now. Recruiting is no place. Now, that said, they don't have a lot of spots this year, and there's still the transfer portal ahead for whoever's the coach. So I'm not really personally very consumed with the recruiting class. I mean, I'm not worried about guys defecting. I don't see a whole lot to fret over in terms of that. It's all going to work itself out in another month and a half or so. But right now, I would say recruiting is no place.
Okay. And last thing, does Manny, I know he won't say it, but after what Texas Tech did today in firing Matt Wells after 3 years, do you think Manny's aware that he's on a short leash or that
of course.
His seat is getting hot? Okay.
Of course he's aware.
No, I don't.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
No, of course he is. Yeah. Wait, you think he doesn't live in a bubble? Are you kidding me? Manny's very well aware of everything that's going on. I know Chris Greer doesn't think he's aware that his job is in jeopardy, and anybody who's watched the Dolphins know that it probably is. It should be.
So
but that's a whole other subject,
well,
Adam.
Sorry for getting that in. Well, thanks for taking my call, Gary. Have a great rest of the show.
You got it, man. Have a great night. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show, and we're headed out now to the 757. You're live on CaneSport. How you doing tonight?
I just be damned. Yeah, baby, the 305 ride or die. Yeah, my team's won. Northwestern High School. I was at that game, and the Canes come through on Saturday, but the Dolphins messed it up on Sunday. But all that, forget all that. Hey, Gary, I heard your show this morning, buddy, and you was talking about that young boy, Dunson. Is it Dunson, the corner? Ain't that the corner? The young boy, and his name's Dunson or Dyson or something like that? Huh?
Oh, Isaiah Dunson.
Yeah, Dunson. I know you said he couldn't play corner, but let me tell you something. I seen the one play he
They're
got
moving him
on.
to safety.
That was one. Well, he was at corner, now they moved him to safety. I got it. But, I'm going to tell you, to me, who ain't no corner, and that's Stevenson. But they play him a little bit everywhere. Because in the Michigan State game, he got burned so much, I got tired of him. And I see they finally stopped letting him do punt return. Thank God for that. Not talking about the kid, but that's why Georgia didn't want to play corner. He was better at a safety as well. We look good. What was up with that before the half, we sitting in the stadium. Okay, we got the ball, 2 minutes left. Come on, let's get down the field. Let's get this first down. 3rd and 1. What is this running up the middle? What the hell is wrong with Lasky? You keep running up the middle. Nate ain't but $1.50. He bad as a mug, though, but he can't run up the middle. I think it might have been the Brown or the Cody or whoever ran up the middle. So then they get the ball and go right down the field with 47 seconds left to score. Pissed me off, man. Just totally pissed me off. That's what get Manny in trouble. You can fire all of them right now. I just want to win. Like I said before, win, fire everybody. I don't give a damn. Winning is the key. The stadium was live. Everybody was happy. It feels good to get a victory. We got Pitt. Like the young man just said a minute ago, our talent, or what so-called talent that you say we got, is better than Pitt. Matter of fact, our talent better than everybody, like he said, besides Alabama. And Clemson, they ain't they're on wreck. They can't score with who knows what. So, yeah, we can beat Pitt. We can do that, too. Garcia played good. Not Garcia. Van Dyke played good. I know Garcia's in the waiting. Open competition next year because he ain't going to come back this year, it seems like, so be all that. But we're looking good next year. Running back-wise, we're looking good at running back. I'm just happy with one man. Ain't a whole lot more to say. 305, ride or die, that's what it is, point blank period. And the last thing, if the Dolphins don't get Deshaun Watson, I'm done with that sorry ass. Holla at your boy. Kim is out. One love. Peace.
All right, Kane. I like your call tonight. You mentioned a couple pretty interesting things. 3rd down. This has been driving me crazy now, going back to last year. I bet you if you take a look at the last 20 3rd and 1s, that Lashley is called to run up the middle on at least 19 of them. And obviously opponents are looking for that. They're teeing off on the line of scrimmage. None of them are working. This offensive line is not built for that play. I mean, they are not built for 3rd and 1, blow the opponent off the line of scrimmage and gain the yardage. They're just not. And it's been proven for the last 2 years. Kane, you're so right. Why does he keep calling the same thing? I just shake my head every single time. And it's so funny. It's gotten to the point where, like, Matt and I sit up in the press box and we say, here comes the run up the middle that's going to get stuffed. And sure enough, the run up the middle gets stuffed. And I don't know, man. I mean, like, it's got to show up on the tendencies, if they're doing self-scouting. Obviously he watches tape. Like, they don't do a lot of hitting during the week. It's not like they're going to get better at it or anything. I can't explain why Rhett Lashley keeps calling a dive up the middle on short yardage situations. But he does, and they keep failing. The other subject that you're bringing up is talent. Miami is more talented than Pittsburgh. You know what? Let's judge that after Saturday. But here's the thing. I agree. Miami is as talented, at least, as everybody they're playing other than Alabama. But the problem is they're not winning the games. And that extends to, obviously, other issues. Player development, coaching, that sort of stuff, game planning, and those sort of things. And the thing that's craziest about it is that the talent on this Miami roster, as good as everybody on this side of the equation thinks it is, because everyone's pulling for the Canes and everyone's Canes fans, if you talk to NFL scouts, they will tell you that Miami doesn't have a lot of talent. Like, they look at this roster and they're yawning for the most part, okay? So the talent at Miami needs to get massively better. And that's as much a reason as anything why I think the Board of Trustees must consider a coaching change. That's nothing to do with Manny. Manny's just a casualty of the problem that he can't do anything about. Manny is not a recruiter. Manny has never been a recruiter. It's not Manny's fault. And don't get mad at me for saying that. It's not. It's not Manny's fault that he was put in the head coaching seat at Miami, where he's expected to go head-to-head with, Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and Dabo Swinney and Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley and all these guys that are at the top of college football. Manny's expected to be able to go walk into a house and walk out with those kids as the head coach of Miami. That's not his wheelhouse, man. And like last year, yeah, they won on James Williams and Leonard Taylor mostly because of COVID. I mean, no COVID, Leonard Taylor probably goes to Florida. James Williams probably goes to Georgia. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with the fact that Miami benefited and took advantage of COVID to put a damn good recruiting class up on the board last year. When you look at these guys, Arroyo and Kinchins, and, there's a lot of really good players in this class. Jacoby George, Romello Brinson. You go on and on. This was a damn good recruiting class. This is what the recruiting classes at Miami should look like every single year and need to look like every single year. Well, it didn't look like this a couple years ago, not to this level. And it's certainly not looking like that this year. And it's a program that's been surviving on the transfer portal, which I guess you can try to do year after year, but that puts a lot of pressure on you. At some point, you got to be able to go out and recruit on an elite level in the high schools, and especially the high schools in South Florida. So talent, yeah, there's talent. Is it equitable to the rest of the ACC? Yeah, it is. Is it good enough to put up 10, 11 victories, 12 victories in a season, compete for national titles? Absolutely not. And yeah, I don't know how many of you guys out there watched the Lamar Thomas show. We had Alonzo Highsmith on the show last week. I thought Alonzo made a great point. At Miami, it should be about national titles, period. That's what Miami should be talking about. Not winning the Coastal. Oh, can we get good enough to win the Coastal? It's not real hard to get good enough to win the Coastal, okay? The fact that Miami hasn't been winning the Coastal is shame on Miami. But Miami should be thinking about being an elite, relevant national program that contests for national titles, that gets to Charlotte on a regular basis, that gets in the playoff every couple of years or whatever. And that should be the goal at Miami. And what the Board of Trustees are looking at this big picture that we've been talking about tonight, they have to evaluate, can Manny Diaz take us there, period. That should be the evaluation. And if the answer to that is no, Blake James made a mistake 3 years ago, we have an opportunity to correct that right now. Now is the time to do it. Then even if 6 straight wins are peeled off here, which, again, are very long odds, then they have to have the willpower to make that decision. If they don't and they bring Manny back for another year, I'm guessing that next year would be very similar to this year. That's just my thoughts on it. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out now to the 786. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, my friend, how are you?
Hey, what's up, everything? How you doing, man?
Doing well. Gary, there's been so much that you've thrown at us here in a short amount of time. A lot of information, a lot of different angles, a lot of different storylines. But one thing that I want to go back to, if I can, if that's okay with you, is yesterday at the press conference, would you happen to have a clip of that audio with regards to your question yesterday with Manny?
Do not have it isolated, no.
Oh, I wish you did. I understand all that you've highlighted with regards to what Blake did, and this is just yet another example of his incompetence, him not understanding the big picture, and it's been consistent with football since the very beginning. I think when he hired Mark, I think that was such a situation in which the right people, the right BOT members, the right former players, that group was able to bridge that gap with someone who really needed to stay retired, or at least needed another year to at least to get his things together, so to speak, mentally, physically, emotionally, all those things. He needed a year to recoup from the industry, and I think that gap was bridged by those people, and he was able to benefit from that. And yes, they got Mark the biggest contract they've ever given a coach. But the panic hire of Manny, the statement now that he made, the press conference that he did, these are all things that are just more examples of disalignment. There's no alignment in here top to bottom. When you hire somebody, that's your guy. That's your person, so to speak, whether it's your women's basketball coach, your women's golf coach, your tennis coach, whatever it may be. You hiring that person, that is a major leap of faith in terms of the direction of your athletic program as a whole, and this person aligning with where you want to head and maintain yourself as a program. So I don't understand how he could do that. Now, you said earlier it's not Manny's fault. You're damn right it's not his fault. The guy was 18 days into his job at Temple. I mean, correct. We reached out to him. It wasn't like he called them.
I'm not sure that's true. I think it was it was a mutual reach out. Like, it was quick. I mean, Manny was in Blake's. Wait a minute, everything. Wait a minute. Manny was in Blake's office at the Heck Center, I believe, within an hour of Mark Richt resigning.
But we also know that Mark did call Manny beforehand, and Mark has shared that story, that he did speak with him. If something does happen, how are things going for you? That has been conveyed. That was on the ACC Network show 3 years ago.
You're talking about Blake called.
As to how things happened. Yeah. So I think pretty much you can't blame him for what's happened, because he didn't possess the skills to be in this position. But he took the job anyway. And Gary, let's be honest, who here wouldn't take the job if it was offered to you?
There's not one day. No, there's not one day that I personally have ever blamed Manny. And, it's been a topic of debate on the message boards and stuff. I know Jay Collette and some of the others joke around or whatever, that Gary says, don't blame Manny. I'm sincere in saying that. I think Manny's doing the best he can. I think he's trying very hard. I think that he was thrown into one of the toughest jobs in college football. And, what a surprise. He's kind of sunk in it. Like, this job's brutal, man. I mean, you can't just get thrown into a job like this if you're not good enough to do it. And that's why so many, you look at some of the guys that have failed, that were handed the best rosters in college football. You know, Dennis Erickson couldn't sustain it. Larry Coker couldn't sustain it. I mean, they were handed the best rosters in college football when they took over this job.
Absolutely.
This job is not just for anybody.
Well, and look at where Manny came from. Really, his pedagogy, his teaching, his instruction, his world of coaching, it came from Bobby Bowden and his staff. I mean, yeah, he worked for Chuck at NC State, was a GA, but he's a Mickey Andrews kid. What did all those teams do? Their freshmen and sophomores barely played unless you were something extremely special. And everybody that was an upperclassman played. And he's been consistent with that. Even the transfer portal kids that he's brought in primarily have been upperclassmen, and then they've gone on to the NFL. They've had a chance to play pro ball. So I think everything he's demonstrated is what he knows. So he's having to learn how to entrust young guys, how to get them prepared to play, not just what he's doing, but his entire staff. And we have to give credit where credit is due. I know the runs up the middle drive is crazy, but the guy called one of his best games on Saturday. Last year, probably called one of his best games on Saturday.
Best game of the year for sure.
What they were going to do, understand what they were going to do to take away from TBD, and knowing what to do in that third and long, that took major you know what. And I think that's a result of the amount of growth we've seen in this kid. Since the Virginia game, he's gotten a little bit better and a little bit better, a little bit better. He's doing his mechanics have gotten better as a quarterback as well. So we're seeing growth. We always point out what horrible teachers these guys are. But let's acknowledge what is looking good because he is getting better. Now, we might go to Pittsburgh this upcoming weekend, and he's going to be beyond confused with a packed box that's loaded with 1 million games being played, pre-snap, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, he might really struggle really bad the first half or the entire game on Saturday. We don't know. But at least we have someone mentally that's not afraid of that moment. And I think that's something that also has to be attributed, not just to the persona of the kid and the willingness of the kid to get better, but there is somewhat of a culture in that quarterback room of guys getting better. And competition's there. So let's acknowledge that. The last thing I wanted to talk about is defensively. When we go, I think Manny said we had 8 missed tackles. PFF has 14. Another service has 12. When you look at the last game that we played that way, we played against Virginia. We had a low amount of missed tackles as well. Both games happened home, okay? We're looking at a team that we're facing in Pittsburgh with one true weapon, in my opinion. That's Addison, something like that, the guy in the slot, who's probably not as good as the guy who plays the slot for North Carolina, who it took us 3 quarters to figure out we needed to go ahead and double him. But anyway, you're looking at a team that we should be able to keep in check for the most part. I know he's playing phenomenal football, but we all know that Mark Whipple's offense, what it is, it's expanded a little bit, but the core is still there, Gary. They've got one true major playmaker. There is no excuse not to play a decent game. I know they're averaging 45 points a game. I get that. But if we're looking at the continued growth, that's what we want to see this Saturday is if Pitt scores under 30, we're going to win that game. If they score over 30, in my opinion, we're going to lose the game because we're going to be confused on offense. So I'm hoping that the progress we're seeing from these young kids that are having to play more and more snaps, now with the issue with Bubba that he's done, you know, who wants to start 2 freshman safeties? I mean, I get you. It's a concern. We might see some Gervin Hall on Saturday. Might be. But I think that we've made enough progress from week to week that we can't fault the job that he's doing right now as a staff, as a whole. Yeah, you really can't. And I understand we're a fumble away, a muff punt away, a helmet popping off. You know, but we're also a freshman kicker who got hit on his kick and should have been called like it was against NC State from winning that game. You know, we're a couple of holding calls that weren't called against Carolina from possibly winning that game. At least a PI that we had in that second half. So we can go on and on and debate things. The fact is the kids are getting better. They haven't given up. They're even more engaged, I think, now. And I was really hoping to hear someone tell us this week that there was a little bit of a really competitive spirit, that it was getting kind of testy out there. Why? because they're pushing each other a little bit more. So those are the things that hopefully we'll see, Gary. But I'm not going to go ahead and spend all that time and energy and effort into fire him and fire Blake. Look, we all know what needs to be done. In the meantime, there's 85, 89 kids out there busting their ass. Let's have their back for once as a fan base. Because what he said yesterday, there is some relevance there, Gary. You don't have to go ahead and knock your own program when things are tough. It's easy. That's the easy way out. We all know our football. We know it's not where it needs to be. But right now, you're still in season. Let's finish things up and let's see where we're at. And if Blake is still here, great. If he's not, okay. If Manny's still here, it is what it is. But right now, let's focus on the kids, Gary. That's pretty much my main message for tonight, because I really admire what these young kids are doing. And there's a couple of older guys that have put their ego in check, and they're supporting their brother. They're playing for their brother. That's what all this is about, man. All right, Gary, be well.
All right, man. You got it, man. Thanks for the call. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out now to the 305. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Hey, Gary. How you doing?
Who's it, Shmira?
It is.
What's up, my man?
That's
What you
a good
got
word.
for us?
Oh, man, Gary. I'm sitting there in a stadium, probably 10% packed on Saturday night, watching a pathetic product on the field. And, yes, I'm happy for the young kids, and I'm happy they got a win. Not really, because I just wanted them to play well and not win, and I just wish they would pull the ripcord on Manny already, just so you don't have that nervousness that if they get on a winning streak, because we already know what's going to happen, delaying the inevitable, whether it be this year or next. I mean, if they happen next year, I will not ever watch a game. It's just too much. It's just pathetic. I mean, the bar is set now so low that we beat a depleted NC State team on Saturday night on our home field that couldn't even catch. They probably dropped 3 balls, and we get the break of a lifetime when our kid fumbles 2. He fumbled the ball twice on a punt, which would have gave him a touchdown. I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, I left in the third quarter. I just couldn't take it. We don't even value possessions. I mean, it's just I'm sorry. This is just not – if this is what the standards are at the University of Miami now, it's just pathetic. I really can't take it.
You left that game in the third quarter?
Yeah.
You left in the third quarter?
The game started at 7. Hey, Gary, I've been going to games. I'm 41 years old now, for 39 years. I've been in every glory game in the Orange Bowl. I used to come home from college to watch every game. And, I mean, it's 11 o'clock. It's 2 pathetic teams out there playing, and it's just bad. It's just a bad product that we're sitting and watching. I mean, no one back.
It was a competitive game, though. It went down to the wire. I mean, would you have to go meet some of the boys at Tootsie's or something? Like, where were you going in
the
third quarter?
Actually, it was probably beforehand. It was, it was kind of like getting. It was just, you get. There's no buzz in the stadium. There's just nothing. It's just a bad product. It's really just. It's not fun to sit there when no one is in the stadiums, and it's just bad. It's just really not what. I don't think anyone.
So where'd you go?
Tickets this year, huh?
Where'd you go when you left?
No,
where'd you go?
Home. I was at the track from noon. I had no reason to tailgate. No one was going to tailgate. Forget about that. My buddy met him. He met me at Gulfstream. We drove over. Took us 10 minutes because there's obviously no traffic. Parked. Went into the Golden Cane section. Had a few drinks. We sat there at halftime. Watched 10 more minutes of the game and just said, "This is terrible. It's just awful," and left. That was it. Got the car, was home in 15 minutes, got the end of the game at home.
All right. Fair enough.
I mean, it's not what anyone signed up for. It's not what anyone pays the money to, for season tickets to watch. It's just really bad. I mean, so we beat an NC State team. I mean, of course we have more talent than them. I mean, I know we just got into the talent, how our talent is not actually that good. So now we play a Pittsburgh team. I mean, probably when you walk out to the field, of course they're better coached than us. I mean, any team is better coached than us, but we probably have equal to maybe a little less, talent just because of a few injuries. But if you put us against any top 10 team, we're 21-point underdogs. So really, at the end of the day, where are we? We didn't get anywhere. We're the same as what we, look at Alabama.
No doubt.
They're not
that,
even,
and
good,
that's the truth. No matter what happens the rest of the way, that is 100% the truth.
Yeah. I mean, recruiting is, we're never going to get into that, a joke. And I see Manny put out some statement today that, you're going to hit the portal. Yeah, we both know that's the cheap way of putting Band-Aids on a lot of big wounds. I mean, they're not going anywhere building a program like that, this transfer portal, building your recruiting on that. I mean, we can't all the young talent is out of here. Can't even talk to them. I mean, it's just they need to pull this Band-Aid quick. And I would be able to enjoy watching the games and hope they win, because I thought last week was probably the worst possible outcome ever. I mean, it was terrible. Who wants that? To win by 1 point, and now how you start the show that everyone starts, are we going to go on a win streak? We're not going on a win streak. This team is just not a good product. It's bad. So, I don't know. I had to get that off my chest. I've been sitting on for 4 days, kind of just pissed off about it, and I just really just hope Pittsburgh just, puts the misery to an end, and that we could just turn the corner, let all these young kids play. By the way, what happened to Al Blades? Is he even,
he's hurt. Yeah, he's not healthy.
He's hurt?
Yeah, I think he had a hernia or something like that. He's not healthy. Okay. He'll try to come back next year.
Yeah, by the way, they're much better with these. That Camp Kitchens tackle, which I watched at home, by the way, was a great tackle. There's no way any of our other starting safeties from the beginning of the year make that tackle.
I love that.
Yeah, he's good. How about the Rooster guy? He's great. He's not in between the tackle. He'll wear down as the year goes on if they don't start giving someone.
He's not a 26 touch a game guy. I don't think.
No, but that's way too much. But it took Cam Harris. Unfortunately, I never like to see injuries from anyone. Cam Harris blowing his knee out to get this kid. I know he was suspended, but this kid is so much more dynamic and at least has a potential to break big plays. The kid's good. He's really good.
Yeah.
I don't think they're using him. They're overusing him, but, whatever. But I don't know, Gary, my feelings on this. I just hope that they just pull this quickly, and then I could just enjoy the end of the year and look forward to the off season. So you could give us all your intake on who the next coach is going to be. And we already know who we want.
I don't think it's getting pulled quickly, Schmeier. I don't think it's getting pulled quickly. I could be wrong. We'll see. Well, here's why. Because what they don't need to do it, because they don't need to. They don't need to. They don't need to go through all that and name an interim coach and put the kids through all that upheaval and everything else. They don't need to do it because they can wait till the end of November. They can tell Manny he's relieved of his duties at the end of November, and they can, a day or two later, name a new coach. They can do all the work in the background right now. This isn't like the NFL where where there's tampering. Where you're going to get arrested for tampering, stuff like that. They can do all the work they need to do through back channels behind the scenes. They don't have to fire Manny to do that. So I don't know that they're not going. I think they're going to let him finish the year. Personally, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess you do. That does actually make sense. But it's just, at the end of the day, you just want to know that the brighter days are ahead. And
but you're not going to be able to name a coach anyway, Schmeier. You can't name a coach.
No,
you have to. You have to assume that the coach that you're going to name is coaching another school right now. They're in the middle of it's still the middle of the season. You can't name a coach till after the regular season ends, or maybe even into the first week of December after the conference title games, depending on who it is.
So can I ask you a question? What was the motivation for LSU pulling the trigger so quickly, and for Texas Tech doing it yesterday? Which, or for even, how about this for USC? Add them to this. Why did they pull the trigger?
USC, I'm not really sure. I can't really comment on USC. I don't know.
Right.
LSU, they're letting them finish the year anyway.
Right.
So, maybe there's a scenario like that we see where they say, okay, Manny, you could finish the year, but we're going to make a change. But if they're not going to do it if he keeps winning games. So we'll see.
Oh, God,
we'll see what happens Saturday.
I really don't want that.
If they're going to do it, they would do it Saturday after a potential loss at Pittsburgh. But if there's a win at Pittsburgh, they're not going to do it. I don't think.
Please.
So we'll see.
Oh, God, it'd be so bad. Just pull it. Please end it. All right, Gary. Good luck.
All right, Schmeier. Thanks
I'll
for
see
calling
you
in,
around.
You got it, man. Thank you for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go now to the 941. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Hi, Gary. It's me, the Mikester Kane.
Mikester, what's up, buddy? What you got for us tonight?
Hey,
You got another
no
poem?
commentary.
Was that a poem? You had a poem last week, right?
Yeah, I had a musical emergency that I had to meet, so that kind of fell through. But I'm back. I'm back this week. I don't have a commentary, but I do have a couple things that I want to point out. I mean, you mentioned that 45% of the fans out there are rooting for the team to lose. And I've got a message for them. Please don't do that. If you're going to make noise, make the right kind of noise. But don't root for the team to lose. That's not fair for the kids that are busting their ass, like everything or the other caller said, Adam, I think it was, who said that. That's not fair to the kids doing that. And, it's just not the right thing to do. It really isn't. So root for the team to win, regardless. We all know what's going to happen, okay? It's a very unlikely scenario in which we're going to finish 8-4 anyway. So your thoughts on that, Gary?
I agree with you. I would, it's like, obviously I know most of these kids. We cover them going back to when they're in high school. We speak to them endlessly. So we know them pretty well. We have NIL deals with several of them and so forth and so on. I mean, I couldn't personally imagine going to the stadium wishing that they lose. We cover the games objectively. We do our analysis objectively because that's what we're supposed to do. But I would never personally imagine myself going to a stadium hoping that all these kids that we know so well lose a football game.
No, absolutely not. The other thing, too, is I think the caller before you mentioned about pulling the plug right now. No, can't do that. You got to wait till the season ends. And searching for a head coach takes extensive planning. You've got to do your homework. You've got to evaluate. There's just a lot. It's a complicated process. I mean, it takes a little bit of time, but it takes careful planning. So you got to let Manny finish the season, and then gracefully, have him step down. Your thoughts on that as well?
I tend to agree. I don't, I'm not I understand the urgency some people have. I just personally don't think, based on my knowledge of what's going on behind the scenes, I do not see them making an early dismissal of Manny as a necessary element of doing what they need to do to get the athletic program in a better place as soon as possible. I think they can do what they need to do very quietly behind the scenes, and I think they are doing that.
Right, absolutely. Oh, thirdly, one thing, too. Caught my eye. On SB Nation, I saw a rumor that Stoops, the Kentucky coach, was looking at the Miami job. Have you heard about that?
100%. He's looking at the Miami job.
Okay.
He would love to get the Miami job. It's better than the Kentucky job. So yeah, of course he's looking at it.
And this thing with Al Blades, I thought he had COVID. I don't know.
No, that was last year.
That was
last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's it, Gary. That's all I got for tonight. Root for the best against Pittsburgh. Hopefully they can pull this out. All right.
All right,
Thanks
Mike.
for
Good talking to you as always. Thank you for being part of the show. Let's go to the 845. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Yeah, Gary, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Greg? How you doing?
Hello. Good.
Yeah, you there?
I won't be as negative as that Smyra guy, but let me ask you a question. Does Manny Diaz portray confidence on the sideline, in your opinion?
Yeah, he does. I mean, I think that's one of his great traits. I think that's one of his greatest traits, to be honest with you. if you ask me what are the strengths of Manny, I think it would be that he does always seem confident, and he does, portray that.
Okay. What did you think of his timeout at the end of the half? You think
I understood why he
personnel on the field.
I understand why he did it. Like, I don't know if it was that. I thought the reason he did it was that they had just gotten an uppercut basically to the chin in giving up that pass play, and what I thought he was doing was calling a timeout to just calm everybody down and get them to take a deep breath and regroup, so that hopefully they did not let them score a touchdown. People are saying, oh, they scored a touchdown because he called the timeout. I personally don't make that correlation. I mean, I don't. They scored a touchdown because somebody busted the coverage and the guy was wide open. And I don't think it had anything to do with the timeout. It had to do with busting the coverage. So I personally didn't have as big a problem with the timeout. I mean, I thought I was understanding why he was doing it, and they were like stunned by that play. I mean, the last thing you're thinking you're going to give up there is an over-the-top, 45, 46-yard pass, I think it was, that lets them get into scoring position in that situation. If it was because they didn't have the right personnel, well, then they needed to call the timeout because they certainly wouldn't have wanted the play to go off without the right personnel. But if that's the case, then why was there a coverage bust on the play? I mean, I'm not making that excuse. So, I don't know, Greg. I personally didn't have a huge problem with it. I thought he did it to settle the kids down.
Okay. You talk about these 3rd and 1 plays, okay? I was down in Florida a number of times. I watched Dad Franklin in person run about 5 different games. The guy's a freaking beast. He's 230 pounds. Why don't you give him the ball on 3rd and 1 instead of Jalen Knight?
Because that's why this staff. This is why that's a great point, and that is why this staff is probably going to get fired after this year. It's little things like that. How do you let your tight end disappear from the game for weeks at a time? There's little things. Did you see how much better they looked when they threw the ball to Arroyo and Mallory the other night and added that element to their offense? It's little things that are falling through the cracks right now with the Hurricanes, and that's one of them, like use of personnel.
Okay. If they wanted to hire Mario, you said it wouldn't be till the beginning of December, possibly.
Well, you could. He's in the middle of the season. Oregon's fighting to go to the playoffs.
Okay, fine.
I mean, as long as they're in the playoff hunt, he's not. You're not hiring Mario right now.
No, he's not making the playoffs. Calm down. All right. He almost blew that game the other day, by the way. Why are you having that guy throw the ball at the end? That quarterback.
Greg, their quarterback is killing them. Okay, the kid threw 2 stupid interceptions in the second half. If he doesn't throw those 2 stupid interceptions, because he made 2 stupid mistakes. They win that game going away if he doesn't make those 2 stupid plays. Yeah. Same thing with the game they lost at Stanford. I mean, they gave stuff happens, man. You lose sometimes, but Oregon's a good team. Are they a playoff team this year? I'm not sure about that. But would it be so stunning if they ran the table with the rest of their Pac-12 schedule? The Pac-12 is just like the ACC.
Okay, let's just say Mario plays in his conference game.
Yeah.
If you hire him, he has 2 weeks until signing day. Okay.
Correct.
What is he going to do?
That's probably when it would happen if it happens.
Okay, so we got 2 weeks to recruit.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have 8 players in the class right now. He may not even want some of these people in the class.
Correct.
So you have 86 players on the team now. 50 of them are freshmen. There's not a good – the classes are not equal. It's crazy. You got 50
Here's
players.
What I think,
what is going to happen in 3 years when everyone leaves at the same time? The team's going to suck.
All right, Greg, listen. If that is what happens down the road, and he is the guy that they end up if they're able to get him to do it, and that's going to be a monumental task, but I don't think it's insurmountable. But it's gonna take the University of Miami doing some real work, unlike anything they've ever done in their lives. Okay, I think what would happen is a couple things. I think number one, you would be hiring a coach who has been recruiting pretty much a large number of top players around the country. All those guys that he's been recruiting, that he's built relationships with over the last year or two, suddenly become on the table for Miami. Some of them may or may not have official visits left. Maybe they take unofficials, whatever. You also can try to talk guys into waiting and not signing on signing day. There's nothing that says somebody has to sign on the early signing day. So the guys that you really, really want, if there's not enough time for them to visit, you just get them to delay their signing and visit in January. If they're really good players, it's not like everyone's pulling their offers off the table. So, there's a lot of ways this could play out, Greg. And then, of course, there's the transfer portal.
My quick last point. Do me a favor. Tell your boy Lee Sterling to pick his game up a little. He was 1-4 this week on his picks. All right, have a good day.
And what were you, Greg?
I don't know.
What was your record this week?
What?
What was your record this week? Did you make picks?
But it wasn't good. I listened to him. All right. Have a good day.
Do you listen to him regularly? Did you listen to him before he started doing the show with us?
Oh no, yeah, I've heard. I know he's good. I'm busting your balls. I'm kidding.
Oh, I don't know.
No.
I'm just saying, had you followed his picks
last week, and he bet against Miami, whatever. Have a good day.
All right, Greg. Yeah, Lee can't win when it comes to the Hurricanes. Often seems to be on the wrong end of the stick on that front. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. We're heading into hour number 2 here, moving right along. Taking some heat on the message boards today. Some people think that some of our callers go on too long. So trying to keep things moving pretty well. I think we're doing that. We're getting ready to go here to our, I think, 8th caller of the night. So let's do it. Let's go out to the 770. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Gary, I'm doing good. What's going on?
Doing good. Who's this?
It's Steven in Atlanta.
Oh, Steve. Yeah. What's up, Steve? How you been, man?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Talk to us. What you got?
I got, let's start with Manny Diaz here. I think he should be out the door. He should have been gone after that FIU loss, if you ask me. So any minute he's around the program is going backwards. That's the way I feel. That's just me. I can't speak for everybody. Every fan speaks for himself. I'm not going to knock how nobody feel about it. I'm just going to speak for myself. This guy can't beat nobody worth, talking about beating. He hired the people who he hired. He should have hired better people, a better staff. He knew he wasn't ready. So, he could have went to Blake and said, look, I need this guy, that guy, and a third to make us both look good. You know what I'm saying? Don't be hiring bums, like that guy he hired to run the strength program. He's a bum, straight bum. Those guys are weak. The offensive line has no legs. Their arms look like they don't lift weights. They can't hold a block. They get knocked around. He's a bum. Blake James, tell me about this assistant AD that he was. Tell me about that, Gary.
What do you mean?
Did you say he was an assistant AD when he got hired before he got the AD job?
He had some experience. I forget how many years as the AD at Maine.
Oh, he was at Maine because
he had been at Maine, yeah. But then he came back to Miami, I believe, for a year or two before he got the AD job.
Well, I'm of the opinion with this. Like I say, I've been watching Miami since I guess '83, since they went on that first run. But I was probably going to games before that when the boys club, when I was living in Coconut Grove, in the where I guess I was born in the Grove in '69, but we would play ball at the boys club, at Southwest Boys Club, and we would go to the games on the weekend. They would take us to the games at the Orange Bowl. But I really took interest when they went on that 1983 run and never lost interest in them. And from what I see, that's just me talking. The people who they have brought in this program is doing that Thad, whatever that foot guy wrote that I saw on that 30-30. That's all I could think about when I see the position of this program right now. That's what he wanted. He didn't care nothing about football. He's the reason Jimmy Johnson left. So we got Blake James. He hired all these bums. He gave Al Golden an extension when Al Golden should have been fired. He hires Manny Diaz he hires Mark Richt after Mark Richt gets fired from Georgia. I don't know what he was thinking on that. He hires Manny Diaz on a Sunday night, and nobody at the program, can stop this. No, nobody can pull the trigger on this. It's like it's a hit job. This is not an accident. What is going on to the program? Now maybe they don't come to their senses. Maybe they don't come to their senses and said, "Hey, this is not what we want. We might have thought we wanted this, but this is not good for business. Our business sense is not as good as we thought it was. This is bad for business." And this Manny, don't blame Manny. I blame Manny because Manny had the chance to not make himself the defensive coordinator this year. Maybe if he hired a better defensive coordinator, it might.
Here we go with this again. Steve, let me ask you a question. What makes you think he could hire a better defensive coordinator than himself?
Than him?
Look what he did the first time around. This is a guy that's replaced his staff in its pretty much entirety in the first 2 years that he was in the job. What evidence do you see? Right. And I'm not being argumentative. I'm just saying, what evidence is there to suggest that he can hire a better coach than himself to coordinate the defense? And if that guy exists that would come to work for Manny, what defensive coordinator, Steve, wait a minute. What defensive coordinator do you think that's better than Manny wants to come work for Manny when he knows he's better than Manny?
Yeah, defensive coordinator, Gary, please
think about it. Think about it that way, Steve.
Please, from one Miami fan, I'm not going to think about it that way because I know if you pay me a salary, I don't care who I'm working for. I'm going to come do the job. Now, Steve, if somebody's a good defensive coordinator, you think they're starving for their next meal? You think they don't have their pick of jobs? Some are because they work for head coaches like Manny, and then they're on the street. They're on the street, need a job. If they're good, they get hired very quickly. Well, look. If the would have paid somebody some money to come help Manny out, and Manny would have stepped aside and put his ego aside and put the program first and not himself, he might not be on. He did that. He did that. Have you heard of a guy named Blake Baker? Blake Baker? He was a bum. He was right for us. But he was the guy that Manny hired to be defensive coordinator. Yeah, because he was beneath Manny. Manny had an open slate. Manny got the job at Miami. He had an open slate. He could hire anybody that. But you're assuming that he had a pool that was better than that. Come on, man. You're assuming that he can hire somebody better. The evidence is there. He can. Gary, it ain't no evidence that he can't. It ain't no evidence that he could. We don't know what he could have did because we'll never know. But you can't say he could have. You can't say he couldn't. Did he come tell you that? But let's move on.
I said this 2 years ago. I said 2 years ago that Manny was going to have a hard time putting the staff together because the guys that were out there that are better than Manny know they're better than Manny, and they're not coming to work for Manny, and that's Manny's problem. He got Rhett Lashley, and you can argue all day how good or bad Rhett Lashley is. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. He's okay, but they lucked into that one. The timing was right. Lashley needed a better platform for himself. He's trying to be a head coach. So he and Manny got together and they did a deal. But you know, I mean, hiring coaches has not been an easy thing for Manny.
Well, look. Blake James, you know, he hired this guy on a Sunday for whatever reason.
Correct.
I have my thoughts
without any thought, Steve, to the things that we're talking about right now. That's why it was athletic director malpractice. The first question, Steve, that should have been asked on that Sunday: what kind of staff can you put together if I give you this job?
No, it shouldn't have been.
I guarantee you that question was never asked.
It shouldn't have been done on the Sunday. He was hiring Manny. He was already hiring Manny when Mark. I believe Manny was hired before Mark Richt even finished making his decision. When he knew what Mark Richt.
Yeah.
It's just my thought. It's just my thought.
What is the greatest need, Steve, of this program, Blake James, as you're making this decision? What is the greatest need of this program? Oh, you mean it's recruiting on an elite level? Okay, Manny, who have you recruited at an elite level before in your coaching career? Ever?
Let's talk about
I guarantee you that wasn't asked and answered either. And that's why these guys got themselves into this situation. Manny was in the perfect place. Manny was in the perfect place, Steve. He was going to Temple. He got his breakthrough. That was a breakthrough for him. He gets to go to Temple. He gets to go to Temple and learn how to be a head coach and build a coaching network and learn how to recruit as a head coach and all the things that a head coach has to do. Blake James put him in this Miami job where he can't succeed.
Yeah,
he can't do it. They could keep him for 10 more years. 10 more years just like this. It's not his fault.
Gary,
I'm just saying. No, I know they can't, but they could. And you know what? You would get the same results because same plus same equals same. It is not Manny Diaz's fault.
Let's talk because I'm on the clock. Give me 2 more minutes. Let's talk about competition. You say they was competitive. Look, anytime you got 2 sorry teams that are poorly, one that's poorly coached, one that is less talent and better coach, is going to look competitive. You got the Dolphins versus Jacksonville. That looked like a competitive game, but they was the worst in the NFL. You get what I'm saying?
I do. I agree with you.
You're going to have that when you got a poorly coached team with a lot of talent and a team with less talent but is well coached. So you're gonna see that. So all those games are gonna look competitive. What makes me sick is the media down there in Miami that let Manny, like he's some type of damn Jimmy Johnson, run to the mic. Nobody ever challenged him on the bull crap that he spits out of his mouth. I mean, he talks so much buffoonery that is senseless, and nobody like, Coach, it's you. You're the problem. He blames everybody except himself. You're not a great coach. You're not getting it done, buddy. Quit skating.
Yeah, but he's not standing up there, Steve, and saying I'm not a great coach. I mean, that's not happening.
Huh? Yeah, well,
he's not going to stand up there and say I'm not a great coach. That's not happening.
He could stand to the mic and say I'm doing what I need to do. He could say I need to do better every week. Every week, the coaches got to do better. If you hear Nick Saban can win a ball game, but he will step to the mic and address his bad points. Well, we need to coach better on that situation, this situation. Manny always scapegoating his quarterback. It's so refreshing to see that it wasn't the quarterback. It wasn't our past quarterback. Even looking at the quarterback we got now, he could be better, but that offense, I keep telling you guys, lastly, I think that guy get 2 checks. That's all I'm going to say about that. He can't be that too. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not.
You ever see that movie? With, what's that guy named? Steven Seagal?
Yeah.
When he in the alley and those guys are making his badge. That's what I think about when I see that dude. Because some of the stuff like that guy said about Thad Franklin and those running backs, our running backs should be catching the ball out the backfield, down the field at least 15 to 20 times a game. How many times do Alabama throw the ball to their running back a game?
I don't know. I don't have a count on that, but I'll tell you one thing. Every time they throw a swing pass to Jalen Knighton, it seems to be a winning play, man.
It don't matter. Remember what you call him last year in that game when the coach came in and hit him down the field, the one who just ruined his knee? He caught that pass over his head in the comeback in the game against Oklahoma State, whoever we played in that bowl game. It was the other running back. Those boys can catch the ball down the field, but we refuse to throw it. We refuse to throw the ball to the tight end but once or twice a game. This guy is sabotaging the program, and it's going to hurt us in recruiting. So all of these guys, they need to go fast. I would take Manny being labeled. I would take him gone right now. You know, whoever comes in, but they ain't going to let him go because for whatever reason. But he needs to be marked as exit, stage right, so the recruits can know there's going to be change, and he shouldn't be allowed to talk to any recruits. Do them like they did Randy. When did they fire Randy Shannon? Was it at the end of the year?
It's at the end of the year, yeah.
The last game after summer,
yeah.
They made Randy catch the jitney on him. They told Randy he couldn't come back to the school. Hey, I don't
remember all that, but it was the last game of the year. Yeah, go ahead.
One question before we go. Remember you said Florida State was a dumpster fire when they had old boy there? You said that's a dumpster fire. What you think about our school right now?
I don't think it's a dumpster fire. I think that there's Steve. No, I really do. I think there's a foundation of some good young players to build around. I don't think whoever coaches this team next year is starting from zero. I think that it's a team in development, no question. I think there's a lot of work to do, no question. But a dumpster fire? No. I wouldn't call it a dumpster fire. You have way too many good players in this program for it to be a dumpster fire. Wait, time out, man. Time out. Let me finish. Look at what's in this program. You got 2 quarterbacks I think you got a chance with to develop and see how they do. You got a few running backs that have potential. The receiver room, the young receivers are all making contributions in year 1. I'm not sure that if Rambo exits, and I think he can come back one more year if he wants. I don't know that he will, but if Rambo exits, I'm not sure there's a number 1 receiver in the program, but there's a lot of number 2s and number 3s. Tight end, I love what I see of Arroyo. I think Mallory will be back next year. So you're going to have Mallory and Arroyo next year. O-line is a dumpster fire. Yeah, but you know what?
I agree.
Even those guys are playing a little bit better, but that's going to be that's a dumpster fire. That position is an absolute unequivocal mess. D-line, very average. Linebacker is a dumpster fire. You got a couple young safeties that I guess 3 of them really that are showing promise for sure. Cornerback, if you could get Tyreek to come back next year would help a lot, but it's still not great. It can be better. But like my point is, Steve, you're not whether it's Manny or Mario or Lane Kiffin or Mark Stoops or whoever's coaching this team next year, they're not starting from zero.
Hey, no. I agree with you. I think we have talent at all the positions. I just think
not all.
Coaching is. I know. No. Let me just say. I just think the coaching is a dumpster fire. The strength and conditioning is a dumpster fire. I think we are outmatched every game at the coaching position. Therefore, and it's been going on for years, I think the coaching was better, and I've been on the record. he didn't look no worse than any of these guys. You know, if you call the right plays, if you look back at his history at Miami, the guy saved us in a bunch of games. He gave us a chance to win it, but the defense gave it up. And most of the time, the offensive coordinator had no clue, so it made the whole team look bad. 3 downs and out, the same thing we're getting now. So I consider, I think we have to have players at every position. Those offensive linemen, they're always 4 and 3 stars. They're not getting developed. They look like they don't lift 1 pound of weights in the offseason. And the DBs, they could be good. The linebackers, they could be okay with the right coach to do the right thing for their side. I think our whole problem is coaching. And you bring the right coach in, kids who don't have talent, they can turn lemons into lemonade, and I'm done. King fans, it won't be long because I have no doubt that Manny is not going to go undefeated. Stay prayerful. Gary, peace. Hey, Gary, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
That Scooter dude, he should be blocked from the show because I don't think Alonzo Highsmith would.
No, don't repeat it. Don't repeat it. That was disgusting. I agree. Yeah, I agree. That was disgusting. No, that guy needs to get a grip on it, no doubt.
Yeah, he should be allowed back on. I was very disappointed.
I don't think he'll be back on.
No. You got control of that. He shouldn't be back on. And Pete,
yeah, I just gotta make sure I recognize the number, and that he doesn't call in on a different number. But anyway, all right, Steve. All right, man. Hey, thanks for being part of the show. Yep. Bye. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you would like to come on the show. Let's go now. Let's go to the 504. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, Gary. How you doing, man? It's Roland from New Orleans.
What's up, Roland? How you doing this week?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm going to throw one name out. Tell me if it's possible. I would hate to lose him. Man, I would hate to lose him. But Ryan Nielsen, the defensive line coach for the Saints, is a monster. He changed our whole D-line. What do you think about him as a possible head coach?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're bringing him up because why? Because you think he's a really good D-line coach, right?
No, he's a hell of a – he changed that whole damn defense.
Okay, but here's my point. What makes him a good candidate to be a head football coach at the University of Miami and go out and recruit against the kingpins of college football and all the other things this job entails? And that's the problem. It's not about just finding a guy that's a great X and O football coach. It's about finding a CEO that can handle this job. Dennis Erickson was as good of an X and O football coach as you'll find. I mean, he was phenomenal. He couldn't handle the job and what it entails. And after he won the 2 national titles, there was decline from that point.
But being on the show, and Pete Carmichael with that whole staff. I mean, I'm just throwing a name out there. I mean,
I know, but what I'm saying, Roland, is it would be an experiment.
The recruiting.
It's an experiment. If you put a guy like that in this job, you're experimenting again. You can't afford to experiment here. You can't do it. This is not a lab experiment. University of Miami football is not a lab experiment. University of Miami football is supposed to be playing for national titles every year.
I know this.
You don't have time to take. You don't have time to try guys out that have never done it before, and that's why they keep getting themselves in trouble.
So, in your opinion, they're gonna let Manny go through the whole year. So if let's just say somehow
it looks like that's what's going to happen. That's what it looks like to me right now. I thought that if they had lost last week, they might have made a move. They might have, but again, I don't see where that's even like it's not necessary. There's nothing to be gained. Like, you don't need to put out a message that the University of Miami is looking for a football coach. I mean, everybody knows the University of Miami is looking for a football coach. The previous caller was saying that Mark Stoops was rumored to be interested in the Miami job. The coaching world out there, they know that Miami's likely to have a job opening. Like, you don't need to, like, go through all that upheaval and name. Now you got to pick an interim coach from the staff, and they got to be able to do all these extra things. You got to pay them more money. You know, you're going to throw, theoretically, a couple $100,000 in the garbage can because you got to pay this coach that you're going to name the interim head coach. You got to pay him more money because he's taking on those responsibilities. It's like I don't see the value of shipping Manny out to pasture right now. I mean, now you got to have somebody else coach the defense. Okay, now T-Rob, you're going to be the coordinator, or Bob Shoop, who supposedly is helping Manny. Now you're going to be the coordinator. Okay, great. Now you got to pay that person more money. It's like there's just nothing to me to be gained by it. I don't think you need to send a message that you're looking for a coach. You know, I just don't. I think it's fine. I like everything I'm seeing. I am privy to some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, Roland. I've reported a lot of it. And I have no problem with what I'm seeing. I have no worries about the University of Miami's game plan on this whole thing. Can they pull it off? Can they get to the finish line? That remains a question, of course, until they do it.
Can they get Alonzo?
But I don't think they have to fire Manny. I really don't. I don't think they have to fire him right now. Why? I don't think they gain anything.
Let me ask you this final question, and then you go to somebody else. So I know everybody's people calling in. If you had to put a gauge on it, I know it's tough. What's the percentage you think that we go into 2022 with Alonzo Highsmith over operations? You know, you can put me on hold.
Roland, I think there's a great chance of that. But I think that the first question that they have to answer is, who's the athletic director going to be? Is it going to be Blake James? Or is it not going to be Blake James? If it's not going to be Blake James, who's it going to be? And then until you answer that question, I don't think you get to Alonzo. I have heard that there are some people that want to consider Alonzo for athletic director out there. Now, you'd have to have some really good administrators. He would be perfect as a front man. I don't know that Alonzo's going to want to do the day-to-day things that an athletic director typically has to do. He would have to have some really good assistant ADs that doing that stuff with him and for him. But as a leader of the athletic department, as a guy that every day would make everybody accountable for their jobs, would unquestionably deliver the message of what the standards are in the athletic department, what they ought to be, Alonzo absolutely would do that.
Let me tell you what Alonzo would be to Miami. He would be Ozzie Newsome with Baltimore Ravens have, equivalent to the University of Miami. That's the impact it would be. That would be the impact.
You have to have the right people underneath him, working alongside him to help him with all the administrative stuff.
Yep. Well, man, just keep me on hold, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Roland. Yep, you got it. Thanks for being part of the show. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you would like to come on the show. Let's go out to the 727. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, it's Jake from St. Pete. How you doing?
What's up, Jake? How you doing this week?
Doing good. Blake James, what a fucking weasel. That's all I got to say. What a weasel. How can they keep him at this point? Who is going to – that stunt all he had to do was probably just shut his damn mouth, and he would have flown under the radar. And this weasel goes out and throws Manny under the bus, who he is solely responsible for. I've been fairly neutral on the whole Blake James thing because, look, if you have somebody overseeing him during the hiring process, hiring a head coach is similar to running a business. Like one of these high-powered board of trustees can tell you how to interview someone or what you're looking for in a high-level executive. They've been there, they've done it. You can manage that process. But this weasel coming out and throwing Manny right under the bus, like, everyone knows he's probably a dead man walking, but to do something like that, who in the world is going to want to come work for that scumbag? Like, that blows my mind. What the hell he was thinking? And that's how clueless this guy is, because, like, what did he think he was going to accomplish? Like, oh, everyone's going to think I'm some genius. I got out in front of this after I caused this. It's just mind-boggling.
It was I agree. It was absolutely mind-boggling. I agree.
It's such a scumbag move. I mean, what coach wants to work for somebody who's going to kick? So if you're going to fire him, fire him. Come on national TV and say, hey, Manny Diaz is done after this season. That is, then hey, it is what it is. Everyone's been wondering when's the day or what's.
You do what LSU did. Just do what LSU did,
exactly.
Jake.
Like, but to come on and throw him under the bus, kick him while he's down in front of his team that's been working their ass off.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was. It absolutely was. I agree.
I think any respect that could be had for the guy in the world of football was, I mean, not that he probably had much to begin with, but, my God, what a fool he made of himself. Just an absolute fool.
He's had a rough last 3 years. It's been a rough last 3 years for Blake, no doubt about it.
That one, oh my God. Question for you. So I last week I was fuming mad about Manny Diaz. I still don't want him back, but the one thing you keep saying that it's impossible to think that they could ramble off 6 wins or whatnot in a row.
I didn't say it's impossible.
They won
I don't think
8 of their first 9.
I don't think it's impossible. I'm not overwhelmed by any of these teams.
No, I mean, this is obviously going to – but if they win this weekend, it's pretty likely. What my question would be is do you think not if Manny wins out, but if Manny Diaz goes to Charlotte and wins the ACC, do you think he deserves another season?
Absolutely, 100%. If he wins the ACC, 100%.
Okay, I was thinking to myself over this last week, I don't think winning out is enough because to me, 8-4
you don't have a choice at that
mediocre.
point. If he does that, if he wins 7 games in a row and wins the ACC, I mean, you got to give let him come back next year and try it.
Now, do you think that? Well, I mean, I could probably answer this, and I could tell you my opinion. I don't think he deserves an extension at that point. But do you think the administration's dumb enough to do that?
No, I don't. He's got 2 years left on his contract after this year. I don't see the urgency to do an extension. No. And if you do, you make the buyout so little that it doesn't matter. If you got to do an extension for recruiting optics, you just make the buyout
that's what
so
I
little.
Was thinking. You give them a year or two with no buyout money attached to it, or negligible.
Yeah, right.
$1 million
right.
Or something.
Correct.
Walk away money at that point. Yeah. No. 100%. I thought maybe I was crazy thinking that, but it's like you look at the schedule because even Pitt. Everyone's going, wild about Kenny Pickett. Look, 4 of their games has been against pretty lousy teams. Their 3 games against, I did the math on it today, the 3 games against their quality opponents, and even those haven't been that quality because Clemson, I think, is established at this point. Their offense is just atrocious this year. But their 3 games against quality opponents, they've scored an average of 30 points a game and allowed 24. So it's not like they're, lighting it up against monster competition here. They've just, they've benefited from playing UMass and New Hampshire that 2 of those games will bolster your outlook for the season. But so I got a question for you here. I know I pick on you every week about Mario, but how come you're always and again, Mario's a huge upgrade from Manny, so but how come you're always willing to give Mario the benefit of the doubt of like, oh, he's got a bad quarterback and this and that, when the reality
because I understand where he is in his development of that program. That said, they're playing for their 3rd straight Pac-12 titles, Jake. I mean, the developing program, they're playing for their 3rd straight conference championship. I mean, come on, man. And I mean, yeah, they're not quite. I don't think they're quite a playoff. I don't think they're quite a playoff team yet. I agree. I personally think they're maybe a year away from being a playoff team, potential. But they may make it. Like, who the heck knows? But yeah, like I see them as, to me, they're a 10-2, 9-3 level team. When I look at them objectively, like I don't like their quarterback. I think he's average as can be. He makes a lot of mistakes. He also makes a lot of great plays. It's like a catch. It's really like a catch-22 with that kid.
But type of guy, yeah.
But he's a boomer bust. But they have a true freshman named Ty Thompson that they're developing right now behind him. That, from what I have been told by people, is a potential future Heisman Trophy level type of player. And, he's going to be the quarterback next year. Well, because they got this veteran kid that they feel gives them a better chance to win. Yeah. I mean, and how can you argue? They went to Ohio State and beat Ohio State on the road. Like, do you think a true freshman was likely to take Oregon on the road to Ohio State and win that game?
No, probably not likely. They've been playing for
not
their
likely,
life
Jake.
The last 5 weeks
and that's why he's playing that kid. He's playing that kid because he has to make a head coach decision. This kid, he's not perfect. He's going to make mistakes. He's also going to make great plays. He gives us the best chance to win every game and win the conference for the 3rd straight year while we're trying to get to the point where we can contend for the national title.
I think I posed that question poorly. What I'm getting at is not it's not to compare Mario to Manny. I guess I kind of phrased it in that way.
No, there is no comparison between those two guys. There really isn't. And
there isn't.
No disrespect to Manny, but if you put the 2 resumes next to each other, there's not even a discussion.
Oh no. So let me finish or follow up the question. Mario no doubt the recruiting in Oregon is top notch and on fire, but Mario is doing less with more at Oregon. Why?
He's got a young team, Jake.
Supposedly,
just because they're 4 and 5 stars doesn't mean they're going to be playing at an All-American level as true freshmen. I mean, he's got a young team. Plus he's had a lot of injuries.
Got a defense full of. He's been recruiting there for 5 years now. It's not like
and he recruited the Kayvon. The 2 best defensive players, Kayvon Thibodeau and what's his name, Noah Sewell. They're both phenomenal players, and they are the heart of the defense. The 3rd highest rated player he recruited was another linebacker by the name of Justin Flo that Miami also tried to recruit. That kid's been hurt, so he's getting 0 contribution out of that kid. But in the meantime, like, they're still a good team. I mean, they have 1 loss. They lost a close game to Stanford. It was on the road. I believe it was a night game on the road. They just didn't play well.
Just the same. Just the same as we could say with our team. They could be 4-3. We could be 5-2. It's my point being is that why in the world, if we have this chance for the first time, this is literally the first time ever that Miami seems willing to do a serious coaching search and spend legitimate money that they should have been doing all along. Why would we not open it up to everyone?
How do you know they're not?
Win. If it's Mario, it's Mario. No,
how do you know? How do you know they're not? How do you know they're not exploring other guys? How do you know they're not looking at other guys besides Mario?
They'd be fools not to. I hope to God they are.
All you got to do is make a phone call to Jimmy Sexton. You make a call to Jimmy Sexton, you're considering a whole bunch of guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know who he is? He's the agent. represents a bunch of coaches.
Yeah. No, I know he's got a ton of coaches in his pocket. I know.
Yeah.
No,
but my point is, they
like,
could be looking at other guys. They could be exploring other guys.
Oh, I hope
I
they
never
are.
said that Mario was the only object of their interest. First, they got to get to the point where they have an agreement with Mario, and they know that Mario will take the job. We don't know that yet.
No, I mean, I think, depending on it, if they do wind up, winning the Pac-12 again, and even, I mean, they could go to the playoffs. It's not out of. I don't. With how tight they've been playing, I have a hard time seeing a situation where they don't lose another game or two this season.
I agree. But, absolutely. But let me ask you a question: if they go 10-2, is that a bad season? I mean, 10-2. I mean, with a victory on the road at Ohio State.
So what makes you think like he's
first of all, he's not 5 years in.
Arizona. Yeah, he is.
No, he's 5 years in at Oregon.
18,
he's not 5 years
20,
in as the head coach.
21. Okay, so 4 years. Sorry, 4 years into it.
Correct. 4. Correct. And 2 of his first 3, he won the Pac-12.
Why would he be so more successful?
And he inherited a 4-7 team, Jake. The team was 4-7 that he inherited.
You could say that Willie Taggart kind of took it off the wheels, but that's also a team that's been to the playoff, that won the Pac-12 several times just before he got there. So, that's not completely legitimate. Like, Taggart was garbage. He also got handed probably one of the best quarterbacks in the last decade or so, and completely misused them. So, again, recruiting the guy's a monster. I don't know as a coach that, what makes you think he comes here and just dominates or just gets us right back into that prominence within, say, 2 to 4 years?
Here's what Miami would get. Here's what Miami would get with Mario Cristobal. They would get a guy that would work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to make Miami football better. This is a guy that recruits. When he goes on vacation, he recruits. Okay. I mean, like, I think that you would have a chance. There's no guarantees. You would have a chance to significantly upgrade the roster. Okay. I think that he's a guy that's proven that he knows how to put a staff together, that he knows how to lure quality coaches. I mean, if you just look at the guys that have worked for him through the years, including, by the way, at FIU. Do you know who was on his staff at FIU? Guys like Jeff Collins, who's the head coach at Georgia Tech now, Satterfield, who's the head coach at Louisville now. Trying to think who else worked for him. Todd Orlando, who's one of the better defensive coordinators in college football.
No doubt.
And there's more. And that was at FIU. Now look at what he's had at Oregon. His 2 coordinators have become head coaches. He's got Joe Moorhead, a former head coach, as his offensive coordinator, who's going to be a head coach again sooner rather than later. Let me ask you a question. Who on this Miami coaching staff right now, and I love them all. They're all good guys. Who on this Miami coaching staff right now, Jake, do you think in the next 3 years is going to become a head coach? In the next 5 years is going to become a head coach.
And again, I'm not comparing it. To me, there's this obsession with Mario and Cane's Nation, so to speak, and I don't think it's warranted.
It's because the guy checks every box for what Miami needs, Jake.
You go at it, and you interview everyone.
Yeah, you could interview all the people you want. This guy checks all the boxes to me. I think I got a pretty good understanding of the Miami job at this point. And I'm telling you, this guy checks every box. He's got relationships in South Florida. He's well respected. He's got relationships all throughout the state of Florida. He's got relationships nationally. He's built a reputation as one of the best offensive line coaches as a head coach and assistant as anybody in college football.
That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing.
Jake, he can go outside the area and recruit elite linemen, which this program has not been able to do in decades.
Okay, you might have sold me on that one because I think that actually is a bonus.
I can go on and on, man. I'm just getting started. I mean, he worked under Nick Saban. He understands what makes what the blueprint is to run a successful program. He's got that blueprint. Look at the Saban
Billy
disciples.
Napier worked
Look at
under
Kirby.
Nick Saban.
Look at Kirby.
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
worked
and
under Nick
look at
Saban.
Billy Napier.
So,
Forget Billy Napier
like,
too. Look at
Joe
Kirby
O'Brien
Smart.
worked under Nick Saban.
Look, well, for a brief time. Look at Kirby Smart, who worked under Nick Saban for years. Look what he's doing at Georgia, and that's a guy that wasn't even a head coach before. Look at Mario.
Big tree, no question about it. But
he's got a tree. You want to know why? Because he has a blueprint, Jake. He's got a blueprint that they can go take and follow, and that's what you're seeing happening. That's what Mario's doing. That's what Kirby Smart's doing. They might add their own little wrinkles to it, but they got the blueprint. They got the plan. All right, Jake, you got anything else tonight, man? Because I'm going to get yelled at.
And again,
you let Jake stay on too long. They're going to stay on the message boards. Gary, let Jake stay on too long.
Let me go. All right, my friend. Talk to you next week. Hopefully after a win.
All right, man. All right, let me be on the record, you guys on the message boards at CaneSport, that, Jake had some good points. He had some good topics. Yeah, I let him go a few minutes longer. I'm guilty, okay? But I hope everybody got something out of that call. I thought it was really good. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to the 865. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, what's up? It's James from Tennessee.
Hey, what's up, James? How you doing, man?
Bud, I wish I've been better. I had to battle COVID for a couple of weeks, so I wasn't able to call into the show. I'm better, and yeah, it was rough, man.
Let me ask you a question. Had you been vaccinated? Did you get the vaccine before you got COVID?
Oh yeah.
And you caught it, and you caught it anyway, huh? God, man, that kills me.
Sure did.
That's scary, man. That's scary as hell. That you can still get it. That so many people still get it.
And I'll tell you this, I think that between you and I would have had it worse had I not had it, to be honest with you. So that because I got over it in about 4 days or whatever. I got over it in about 4 days, to be honest with you. So, but I hated missing the show, but I was just didn't have a voice or anything like that. But I've been watching. And I've been, puking at the same time of watching the product that's been put out there.
My man. You didn't have to go that far. No. We don't need to. We don't need all those gory details.
No, I meant figuratively. No, I meant figuratively.
Oh,
no, I wasn't
okay, all right.
Figuratively. No, it not only was I sick, but I was sick to my stomach watching the product that was out there the last few weeks. If you get my drift. But anyway,
Saturday was a victory, man.
Hey, listen, no, I'll take it, and I'm going to tell you what I'll take. The fact is the fact that those young guys went out there, and look, there were drop passes. I hear what everybody's saying, but you got to give those kids credit. They went out there and they fought. And when I'm talking kids, I mean, you're talking 18 and 19-year-old guys, and so forth. I mean, the upperclassmen, I think, have been the most disappointing story of this season. You talk about the fact that you have some guys that are in their 5th or 6th year in this program, and they've actually gotten worse, Gary. I mean, can you talk about that at all? I mean, why is it that our players they get worse? And here's the one thing, and if I'm wrong, you're not a line for saying this. Manny and this staff, I don't want them to even touch these precious treasures going forward. I mean, I really mean that when I say that. Like, I really believe that they could make these guys get worse, because that's what we've seen for the longest time now, that they don't get better, they regress. And there's so many other teams that they say, oh, this guy's going to be a stud next year or in 2 years when he's a junior and so forth. And our guys, we say the same thing, but they actually get worse. And I don't know if it's injuries or not. But what do you think it is, Gary? I mean, is it the attrition in coaches, that they don't have consistency? I mean, or are they not working hard enough, whether with a personal trainer or in the weight room? I mean, what is it, Gary, of why we're not like that with other programs?
It's so many things, man. It's not one thing. I mean, people, like, the one thing I've never understood is, why does it have to be one thing? I mean, people say it's player development. Somebody else will say it's coaching. Somebody else will say it's recruiting. Why can't it be all of the above? Why can't it be everything, which is what I think it is?
Well, and I'll tell you this, and I'm glad that you brought that up point, because this is what I really wanted to focus on in this call, and I've really wanted to talk the last few weeks. But I do want to say something, and I know you've got I want to give you kudos because I couldn't do it last week. I did read your article. It was beautifully written, fabulous, and thank you for giving us the insight to what is really going on. And there was a sliver of hope there, so I can't thank you enough and praise you enough for putting that article out there. But I do want to say that you touched on so many things in that article, and the thing that I'm most encouraged with is if Fernandez and Frank's people can get something going with Jorge Mas and that group, and if they can do something to get an Alonso and a Mario, I think that with the foundation that you have with right now and so forth being built, I really believe that, I think you said last week, in 3 years, Mario could create a monster. I really could see that 2 or 3 years with a few. I mean, this recruiting class could be a dud just because of him coming in late. But who's to say? And I don't think he's this type of a person.
I don't think it would be a dud, though. I don't think it would be a dud.
So?
He's been recruiting all these players all over the country. He'll get some of them to come down to Miami and take a trip.
Do you think they'd flip, though, or are they dead set on Oregon? What do you think, on that?
Well, I think some of them maybe haven't made decisions. Some of them maybe have made other decisions. Some of them may have not wanted to go to Oregon, but they might want to go to Miami. I think there's local kids. If Earl Little is willing to go out across the country as far as you can go twice to visit Oregon and Mario, you telling me that now if Mario's at Miami up the street where his dad played football that he's not going to consider it? I think he'd consider it. Probably a little late in the game for a guy like Shamar Stewart, but you never know. But I'm just saying, I think anything can happen if you make that move. And I think that now you got one of the best recruiters in the country mining the transfer portal too. So There's all kinds of things that could happen here. I'm not personally stressing out about this recruiting class right now because I understand this whole thing, can change.
Yeah. Can I throw something else to the last caller, by the way, that was really kind of getting on Mario? Mario inherited a mess because Helfage, who was before Slick Willie, he didn't have any good recruiting classes. That was the bottom of the barrel. He was only doing well with Chip Kelly's players people forget about and so forth. If we're really wanting to do a history lesson about Oregon on a Miami show and everything. And once again, what this boils down to is that Mario is one at FIU and with a program that was in shambles and so forth. It wasn't even a program. It was whatever it was. And he did well there. He went with Saban and learned from him, and now he's gone to Oregon, and he really had to muck it up. Yes, they had a little bit of tradition and so forth and had some nice little years there, but they're not like a national champion contender or anything like that. They're not. And they've always dropped games that they shouldn't have and so forth, even under Chip Kelly and so forth. So it happens. It's football. It's crazy and so forth. But I really feel that you've said it yourself. They're going to be playing for the third straight Pac-12 championship, and I think it would be a crime, despite that they did lose to Stanford. And if anybody watched that horrible game, they got screwed in that last drive. And I'm not going to spend any more time on that. But Mario would be the home run hire. He wants to be at Miami. I don't want him anywhere near Blake James, to be honest with you, because I know there's some bad blood there between the two of them. But honestly, I want a good athletic director and Mario, and I think you have a great damn combination that could just whoop up on the ACC. It's bad enough that we're even talking about as bad as we've looked this year and how the conferences look from top to bottom. You had Wake Forest give up 40 or 50 points to Army. Honestly. So this is a conference that can be won. And as much as everybody's like, oh, we could go 6 straight, we could also go 3-3. There's no telling with how this team can play. But at the same time, I'm encouraged by the fact that you did get some of the cancers out of there, and the young guys are buying in and wanting to play. My question to you, though, Gary, is would they buy in for Mario, a guy that didn't recruit them, or are they going to just take their ball and go home? I know you can't predict that, but what would your thoughts be if would Mario have conversations with them to say, hey, give me a chance? Or would he even want them to
There's
stay?
No doubt.
What do you think?
I think a Mario Cristobal hiring at Miami would create such a groundswell of excitement that I don't see those things being issues, quite frankly. I think there would be a surge of excitement down here if that plays out that way. But we're a long way. They're a long way from home on this one. James, they gotta. Yeah. They there's a lot of work to be done here in the next few weeks, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I know for a fact LSU is making a run at Mario. USC is interested in Mario, and there'll be more. There'll be more. This isn't like just a layup to get done, but I like what I'm hearing about what Miami's doing behind the scenes, and from there we'll see what happens.
2 quick points real quick because I want other people to get on, Gary, and I really love the show and appreciate you giving me my time to talk. But back to real quick with Mario, did you check out any of the articles that were written the last couple of weeks? It's almost like setting up the narrative for the Oregon fans. He's leaving. It's just a question of where, you should be disappointed in Mario. It was like a story that was either on 247 or SB Nation or something like that. And then they were kind of criticizing him. Okay. Well, in the article, it was almost like they were like, oh, he should be doing better with what he's got and so forth, or where he's at and so forth. And you should be disappointed that they're not undefeated and number 2 or whatever in the country right now and so forth. And it was almost like setting up a narrative that they almost expect him to be gone and that we could get somebody better. And it's almost like, are they trying to prepare themselves because they know he's going to go somewhere? It's just a question of where. And I know now that you haven't read the article, but is that the narrative that could be being said in the circles, that he is going to go somewhere, but at the same time you said that he's got some great recruiting classes lined up, that maybe he thinks he has a good shot of winning this thing, if not this year, maybe next year.
Yeah, it's a byproduct of where he wants to be, what he wants to do. He's going to have opportunities. Everybody recognizes the job he's doing there. Have they lost a few games that maybe they feel like they could have won or should have won? Absolutely. They lost a couple last year that had you shaking your head. But there's different circumstances. A running back fumbles. A referee throws a stupid flag. I mean, the referees gave Stanford that game they lost this year.
They did. They did, Gary. They did. And anybody that watched that, and it was like watching paint dry, I'm not going to lie, but they kick out their best player. That was a huge thing on that last drive. And the quarterback, acted like he had gotten absolutely murdered, and good acting job on him. The next play, he throws a dime and gets him a first down after he had to sit out the other play that the backup walked in on. I mean, anybody that watched that, there was a total screw job there at the end, I felt. And I don't understand that 100%. From a standpoint because – and I don't understand that from a standpoint because isn't the Pac-12 the one that bitches and moans and cries that we don't get respect? That was your one fucking shot to be definitely in the Final Four, and not that the rest were like, oh, put the hanky in there. You know what I mean? Like you can't tell me that some teams don't benefit from calls, and you're not going to help your guy, your preseason team do it, and you give a bum like David Shaw another win.
That's already gone on the road and beaten Ohio State. That already went on the road and beat Ohio State. And you're throwing a flag on 4th down in the end zone on a questionable as hell interference, kind of like what Terry Porter did to Miami against Ohio State.
Amen.
Are you freaking kidding me? Like, seriously?
Amen.
Shame on them. And you know what?
If
he leaves Oregon, that might be as much of a reason as anything. Because the Pac-12,
it absolutely should.
Yeah. I mean, that was a horrendous call by anybody's measure. I don't care who you wanted to see win. On the last play of the game, on 4th down like that.
I'm glad I wasn't. Yeah.
No, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, James,
absolutely.
You got anything else tonight?
Last point, brother. Last point. Is there? You said something in the show that you agree with me completely. I've heard that Thad Franklin doesn't know the playbook, but you mean to tell me that he can't take a handoff and get 2 yards on a 3rd and 1 and so forth? And
he can't be a short yardage back. Thank you. You got to run Jalen Knighton up the middle on 3rd and
1. Listen, A gap, B gap, and the kid is solid. I mean, and you talk, and then that play to Arroyo. I mean, he looked great running down the sidelines like a gazelle, and I'm like, why are we not getting the ball to this guy more or something? I mean, you got to find your playmakers and get them the damn ball. And I think that
what you're seeing with guys like that, James. I think what you're seeing with guys like Arroyo is now it's the middle of the season. They are in shape now. You know, like these freshmen come in, they've never been in the kind of shape they need to be in to play college football. Arroyo looked as in shape and fast on that play as I've seen him going back into training camp. Like, he looked great on that play.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see it. And I guess the last point, if it is a Mario, how good would the staff be, do you think, that he would get? And because the way I'm talking, Gary, I just don't want one or two guys that are just your only recruiters, and you have a staff that doesn't know what they're doing. I want a staff that has recruiters and can develop the talent and not regression. I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask and so forth. And be very selective and not just fill a roster to fill a roster. Get the guys you need. Otherwise, you become Clemson. That's all I got, Gary. Love you. Love the show. Go Canes.
All right, James. I think if that guy came here, that he'd be able to put an elite staff together. I think he would have an easier time getting coaches to come to Miami, especially if he had the budget to pay them, than he would at Oregon. So, I don't see that being an issue at all. And I don't think that a coach could get a job under Mario Cristobal if they are not a recruiter. I don't think he would hire him. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to the 386. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Gary, how we doing?
Doing great. Who's this?
This Will again. I want to touch on two things. I want to ask you about the first thing I want to ask about. You know, everybody keep talking about Miami need to step it up in the recruiting. But I want to ask you this right here. How are teams like Iowa, Cincinnati, Ole Miss, and Kentucky able to do it? 3 of those teams I just named are in the top 10, and they don't have a recruiting class nowhere near the top 20. So how are these teams doing it with lesser talent?
Because I think everybody has different strengths. I mean, I think at Iowa, I think you got to take them each as individual cases. I think Iowa, I mean, that guy has run a great program for many, many, many years. They recruit very well for their systems, and they do a great job of developing players for what they want to do. And they're not playing in the most difficult, situation, to be quite honest. Iowa's not trying to win the SEC. Cincinnati has an extremely easy schedule, but what they do well there is they recruit very tough kids, and it's that Cincinnati area and some of the other pockets nearby that are urban areas and stuff. They get very tough kids out of those areas, and they do a great job of recruiting them, and that's why you see Cincinnati under multiple head coaches doing very well. Who else did you mention?
Ole Miss and Kentucky.
Okay, Ole Miss, probably not quite the same talent as like the Alabamas and Georgias of the world, but they have a very good offensive coach who has a very good system, and they have a good quarterback, and that gives them a chance to win games. They're not going to win the conference. You're seeing they're losing a lot of, some of these games, but they're competitive because they have a good offensive head coach. They got a good quarterback, and as an SEC school that recruits in the South, they have a decent roster, not a great roster. The previous regime that had similar results at Ole Miss, they were the biggest cheaters in college football. So they bought a lot of players, and that allowed them to be competitive. Who else did you mention?
Kentucky.
Kentucky has been able to recruit a couple good players that can make game-changing plays. They got a good head coach. He's a defensive-minded head coach. They do a very good job on defense with their systems and stuff, and that allows them to pull an upset or two a year. They also are not winning the SEC. They can only go so far. Who else?
Oh, that was it.
Okay. But you're seeing the point of all this is that there's 4 examples, but those are programs that have different things going for them that allow them to be competitive to a certain degree.
Okay.
If you're in the state of Florida, if you're in the state of Florida, Miami, Florida State, you have different upside. You have greater potential than those programs because you have a chance to recruit well enough and put a team together that's good enough to compete for it all. And if Miami, Florida, and Florida State aren't doing that, they're underachieving.
I agree. My last question is, and I was talking about this. We were talking about this at work today with some of my coworkers, and they are out there listening to what your answer going to be. We're dealing in hypotheticals here, but we were discussing that would Miami, in your opinion, would Miami pay a head coach the type of money that maybe a Jimbo Fisher or Dan Mullins is making?
No. Are they going to pay $8-10 million? No. And I don't think they need to. They're not going out and stealing Jimbo Fisher from Texas A&M. No. They're not going and stealing Dabo from Clemson. And I don't even know that they'd want to do that anyway, quite honestly. I mean, Dabo's done a good job at Clemson. I don't know that would mean he'd come to Miami and do a great job. How many guys, seriously, are worth that kind of contract? Not many. And there's some of them that have them that may not be worth them. I mean, I would pay Nick Saban that kind of money to go anywhere. But they're not getting Nick Saban. And Nick Saban's getting old, man. He's only got so many more years of this left. I don't even know that I would pay Kirby Smart that kind of money to come to Miami. But no, they don't need to. I mean, they're going to need to go to $5-6 million here in this next hire. Then I think they will.
All right, and going back to the conversation last week I had with you, I am not anti-Mario Cristobal. I just feel like this is a hire that Miami have to get right, and that's all I have to say tonight.
I agree, Will, and I'm of the opinion that would be getting it right. Now, everybody's going to have different opinions. People like to poke holes. When I look at the landscape, and I'm objective on this, I see one guy that checks every box, and I don't see a close second. That's just me, what I see. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. I'm just giving my opinion. All right, Will, thank you, man. Thank you for being part of the show. We'll talk to you next week. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad. If you want to come on the show, let's go to the 706. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, what's up, Gary? It's your boy Sebastian. I didn't think I was going to get in. I didn't get in at all last week.
I get everybody in every week. There was 1 week,
hung up and,
1 week in the last few years where I didn't get everybody in that wanted to come. I do my best, man.
Gary, Hey Gary, you know I'm just waiting to be the number one caller on November 6th. I told you it was the Georgia Tech game. We're gonna get waxed by 30 points.
Yeah, good luck on that. If that happens and you need to be the number one caller, you better send me an email or something because there's no way you're beating some of these guys.
Well, you know, I don't know. I just think Georgia Tech is an underrated team, and if we don't,
I think they're an underrated team too.
You know,
I
just think, you know, it could just happen.
I'm kind of surprised some of the games still lose, but yeah.
Yeah, first of all, the callers have been great. I mean, everything, they were just been spot on. But everything I was going to tell you, I can't even tell you because they were just hitting it. Like that run up the middle, man. I was on the phone with my daughter in Florida. I live in Gulfport, Mississippi. And I said, look, that 3rd and 1 is just killing us. And it cost us down in the red zone. The next time we was in the red zone, we ended up throwing the ball, and we ended up scoring a touchdown. The game probably wouldn't have been that close if we would have did that. But those are just the kind of mistakes that we made. And here's the thing that I frustrated the bejesus out of me. So you got a starting safety who has been playing hurt all year. You get decimated in defense. You're the laughing stock of the college football season this year because you're missing tackles left and right. What was the risk you were going to take playing the young safeties? Was it the fear that you didn't have enough depth and you were waiting for Avante Williams to come back? What was the risk?
No.
Because here's what I'm saying. Here's the point I want to make. Someone said it. Any other safety would have missed that tackle that Cameron Kitchens made. And I think he missed that tackle because of the kind of athlete and the kind of football player he is. But I don't think he's been brainwashed with that bad tackling. when I see tackling, look at all the touchdown runs that all the quarterbacks have made on us this year. The guys don't attempt to tackle. It's like bumper cars out there. They don't extend their arms. They don't wrap up. Or just go look. Sam Howell, look at the quarterback from Virginia. Look at the quarterback from last week from North Carolina State. If you look, like I look at Ivy, I'm like, where's the wrapping up? Where's the hit, the wrapping up, and rolling the guy to the ground? You don't see that at all.
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say about the young players. Okay, and you talk about Bubba Bold and Gervin Hall. They've played a lot of football here. Obviously, Manny has loyalty to those two kids. Okay, so he's not going into this season thinking I got to bench Bubba Bold and Gervin Hall. Gervin Hall's been horrendous this year. You're now in the middle of the season, and he didn't play one down last Saturday. So, were they a little slow making that move? Maybe. But here's the thing that I don't think everybody can assume. Who's to suggest that James Williams and Cam Kinchins were ready to play, even at the level they're playing now, 3 or 4 weeks ago? I don't think that's an assumption that you could make.
Don't cut me off, Gary. You bring up a very good point. I mean, I'm not. Matter of fact, I'm not going to even counter that. Oh, the only thing I was going to say is, if you knew this guy was hurt, is what I'm saying, and you see all the missed tackles, and the games are so close. North Carolina game was close.
You were slow, shut them down. Yes, you could say, Manny, you were slow shutting Bubba Bolden down.
I'm just saying. It could.
Yeah, you could definitely make that argument, Sebastian.
That's what I'm saying. Could it have been the difference in the game where not so much? Now I understand busted assignments going to happen. I mean, we had a kickoff run against us with Appalachian State, and I just think it was really James Williams that blew it. He went in the wrong gap. The guy was on, instead of defending the sideline, using the sideline as a man, he went inside. The guy went on the other side, and that's a 100-yard touchdown. So that's one.
There you go, there you go, and that's the catch-22 when you're relying on true freshmen. Now you can make the argument now because you're working on the benefit of you're capable of being a Monday morning quarterback here. Let's be honest, and you could say that Manny, you screwed up. You were too slow pulling the trigger on Bubba Bolden. But when you're in the heat of the battle like he is, and you're trying to keep your job, and you've got a guy that's supposed to be your best defensive football player, and he's hurt, but at least you think he knows what the hell he's doing out there, and your job is on the line, and your career's on the line. Like, to make a decision to throw a true freshman out there who maybe doesn't have 50% of that knowledge yet, I mean, that's a hard decision to make too, Sebastian.
I mean, Garrett, like I said, I'm giving you some points on that. You gave me some points on that. I mean, all I was saying is, in all reality, we're about 7 points away from being 5-2, maybe. Really. I mean, and if we were 5-2 going to play Pittsburgh, imagine where we would be. We would not be talking about doing a coaching change. So that's 6 1/2 dozen or the other, but. The short yardage thing.
Well, you would if you lose at Pittsburgh and go to 5-3 and end the season 8-4, something like that. I mean, the whole ACC is like this, man. Everybody takes turns beating each other. Like you mentioned, you were just talking about Georgia Tech. All right, let's take a look at Georgia Tech. They lose 14-8 to Clemson. They blow out Carolina 45-22. Yep. Then they turn around and get blown out by Pittsburgh. Then they win a close game against the worst team in the conference, Duke, and then they lose a 48-40 shootout at Virginia. I mean, this is the whole conference. It's like week to week. There's no consistency. Everybody takes turns beating everybody. And like you said, would any of us be shocked if Georgia Tech comes down to Miami November the 6th and wins? No.
No, I'm not. I'm not, and I'm expecting it to happen. I'm telling you, I'm be the number one caller because I think it's going to be a blowout. But I mean, I mean, those are the things, and I never root against the Canes. I'm just saying, I just think a whooping is coming. But I mean, as I watch the game, I have to give the coaches credit because those guys looked like they were ready to play. I mean, from the get-go, even my daughter was telling me, she was like, man, these guys look like, we still have the missed tackles things, but, when I heard the story about Bubba Bolden being shut down, with the shoulder and all I was saying to myself is, man, that's probably one or two games that we could have had in our hip pocket. Because if he was out there and he just could not make tackles, I mean, it's not a matter of blowing assignments. You can know the assignment, but if you can't make the play, then it'd have been over. And I saw that Cam Kitchens tackle, and all I was saying to myself is that guy knows how to tackle, and he just hasn't been brainwashed. Because I'm watching all these guys, it's just bumper cars out there, bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper, and so forth. The next point I want to make is this. I'm like with you. There's nothing that has me concerned about recruiting this year. Absolutely nothing. I mean, if we make a coaching change and not one of those players stick with Miami, I still think that we're going to be fine. What we really, really need is we need an attitude adjustment. We need an attitude adjustment where we need to define what are our expectations. Because I said it before, when you lay out your expectations in the beginning, that starts everything. Because everything starts to move in that particular direction. What I'm hoping to see before this season is out is we've seen these kids fight back, and lose. But this particular game, they fought back and they won, but they was at home. They need something like that on the road. And the games I'm looking forward to is the games where we're not so far down in the first quarter that we have so much of a mountain for us to climb, and that's what I'm looking for. The last point I want to make is this. This is what I need your help on. Help me understand why the mass substitutions all the time. I cannot understand.
I agree with you.
It is the first quarter.
I don't understand it either.
It is the first quarter. I mean, your defensive lineman. I was telling my daughter when I because we were watching the game on the phone together. I'm like, how these guys cannot be tired. There's no way you could be in the first quarter and you running two plays and you're saying you tapping out. You need somebody else to come in and sub for you. You cannot be tired. Not in the first quarter. And I'm watching the game unfold. All these mass substitution packages and so forth. And I've been saying it all along. I told you. I said, how many tackles does John Ford have? I mean, why is he playing that many snaps? How many tackles for losses? How many tackles does he have? And I told you, whatever his tackles total is, whatever his sack total is, I'm telling you, Leonard Taylor had double that. And you looked it up and you couldn't find it. And I said, par for the course, you could not find it. But you need to do the research to find out how many tackles does Leonard Taylor have, how many tackles does John Ford have, and why is he playing more snaps than the other guy? These mass substitutions, bringing other players in, and I'm just like, if you put that kid in, of course you're going to run the ball. He ain't making no tackles. Making no tackles whatsoever. And, just kind of put me on hold, but I will say this. It will be a happy day in South Florida if they name our head coach Mario Cristobal. I mean, I have no doubt within 3 years we could win the ACC. No, probably within 2, no doubt. I don't care what the roster looks like. That's what I see that. And what I also predict, too, is I do predict that team in the Tuscaloosa is going to start to go down because once you start losing that South Florida talent, it's a whole different ball game. You start living like the rest of college football.
Look at what happened to Clemson. God, man. Yeah, it could happen fast. Look
That's
what happened to
saying.
Clemson.
You see what I'm saying? Once you start to lose that South Florida talent, all of a sudden, welcome to the rest of all of college football.
And once you don't have Sean Watson and Trevor Lawrence as your quarterback too. All right. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out to the 985. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, how you been? Swagger for life.
What's up, Swagger? How you been, man?
Dealing with Hurricane Ida. Well, I've been missing for a couple of weeks. Listen, I want to touch on what the caller said a couple of calls ago on why all those teams are like they are: Cincinnati, Iowa, and what was the other one? What was the third one?
Kentucky. He asked me about
Kentucky. Yeah. They all cater to their identity, which is what we don't have. Mark Stoops caters to his identity for his defense. Iowa does the 3 yards in a cloud of dust with a pop pass every once in a while. And Cincinnati deals with their toughness, even though they schedule a bunch of cupcakes. That's why they do. I mean, they're not scheduled, but they're part of the AAC. But that's why they schedule. I mean, that's why they're successful is what they do. They cater to their identity, which is something we don't have and we haven't had in a long time. I'm going to challenge you on something that I was going to challenge you on something that you said earlier. Why is it? And this is my scenario. Everybody's talking about scenarios and when do we get rid of Manny? And I mean, I think we all understand that he's basically gone. If he's not gone, then nobody really cares down in Coral Gables, because what we all see is just, in my words, absolutely an abomination and not what the University of Miami should be. But why can't we go 8-4 and win the ACC and go to the Orange Bowl and still get rid of Manny?
They could. Well, I mean, they could. That would be. But I don't know. I don't know that I would do that. I think they would. If all that happened, Swagger, if all that happened, I think they would punt. I really do. But you know, but they're so far away from all that happening. I mean, one week at a time. If they lose Saturday, it's over. You know, so to sit here and speculate that they're going to win every single game and win the ACC championship game and go to the Orange Bowl. Yeah, I mean, I just don't feel productivity.
I'm not trying to speculate or say that they're going to do that. I don't think the odds are in the favor that they're going to do that, even though the schedule is as soft as it is. I don't think the coaching staff has the capability to do that because they're too big of idiots to be able to pull that off, even though I think they have the talent to do it. And by the way, these young kids are playing their asses off, you know, for these guys, which is a travesty in itself because they're playing for these bunch of dumbasses who don't know how to use the tight end, who don't know how to use their backs correctly. You know, it's been pointed out all night. It's just a joke.
Don't call them names, man. These are all good dudes. Like they're nice guys. They're good dudes. You know, they might be failing, but you don't got to call them dumbasses, man. Come on.
But come on, Gary. I mean, the frustration is at a level now to where you got guys like, you know, the guy earlier who was going to a game and leaving at the third quarter because it's just so obvious to see. I mean, it's just obvious. And these guys are getting paid millions of dollars, by the way.
I think he was just tired from he was at the racetrack all day. He came to the stadium, he partied, he drank, you know. I think he was just tired, man. That was a good game Saturday night. There was no reason to go home in the third quarter if you're already there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was a good game. I mean, look, I pointed out that I think what the problem is that these kids just, and it's been touched on again, that these kids just aren't trained correctly. They aren't trained correctly in the weight room. They don't look. I watched the game again today on ESPN. They replayed the game, and just looking at our kids compared to the other guys just look bigger. They looked more formed like a football team. Our guys looked small out there. They just really did. I mean, you know, Manny wants to talk about
some of them are small.
I mean, I'm just pointing out though that they just, you know, Manny runs the place like a country club. You know, the videos that you guys put up on CaneSport and some of the stuff, and I mean, it's a joke.
The whole place is a country club. I agree with that. You know, no disrespect. I mean, it's just if you hire somebody like a Mario Cristobal and you bring them in that building, like you're going to notice a massive change from second one, like just from the first second he's there. I mean, it's, you know, it'll be like night and day.
And look, Mario, I mean, I agree with you. Mario, to me, is the guy. To me, there's not even a close second. Stoops and, you know, Fickle, and you can go down the list of names. And in my opinion, you know, Mario doesn't want to be in South Central and USC. Mario doesn't want to be in Baton Rouge. Mario wants to be in Coral Gables. He wants to be there. He wants to be there as bad as Shamar Stewart right now wants to commit but won't. Okay? But it's just going to take the University of Miami to man up and do what they got to do to go get him. That's simple. And now
he's got to want to come, so we'll see.
You had said you had put an article online about I missed that. I was going to challenge you on that too, because I was going to tell you to come clean, but somebody had mentioned you had put an article online about the behind the scenes stuff that the university is doing right now, but I missed it. I missed that article. So.
You can find it. Just go back and search it. Go back and go backwards in the story list. You'll come to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just as frustrated as everybody else. I do believe that we have a good young nucleus of players. I mean, the foundation's there. I don't think we're a dumpster fire, other than maybe the offensive line. I even like what Corey Flagg and a couple of other young guys are doing at linebacker right now. Especially, this past game, I think a couple of them kind of stepped up a little bit. But I think with the right head coach, and it wouldn't take much to turn this thing around and get us going in the right direction again.
I think it'll take a lot. You just need the right, but you need the right guy, and I agree with you. He would be the right guy. That story ran 7 days ago. So if you go on CaneSport.com and you search the news stories and go back 7 days, you'll find it. Okay?
Hey, gotcha.
All right,
All
right.
I appreciate
All right, man.
it.
You got anything else tonight? Talk to you next time. All right. Thanks. Yep, next time. Bye-bye. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit 1 on your keypad if you'd like to come on the show. Let's go to the 917. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary. What's up, BK Hurricane?
What's up, BK? Talk to us. What you got?
What's going on, man? Yo, sorry I missed most of the show, man. I got on kind of late, so.
Not a problem.
I know the win over the weekend kind of like, believe it or not, I know you believe it. There were a lot of people hoping for a Canes loss so they could hurry up and cut the cord and get rid of Manning. And, I was one of those guys that was kind of on the bubble. Like, do I want the win? Yeah, I wanted the win, but then I kind of still want Manning gone. And every time I hear about these coaches that just keep throwing the names out, Fickle and all these guys, Fickle, the Iowa State guy, a lot of these coaches that they're mentioning, particularly Fickle, it took him 9 years to build what he built at Cincinnati. It took him 9 years. Now, every time I hear the Canes fans talking about, we want this guy, we want that guy, just look how long it took that person to build what they built, and then ask yourself, do you still want him? That's why every time you say Mario's the guy, it's sounding more and more like Mario is the guy, because Mario pretty much turned Oregon around fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati was a 9-year project. All the Iowa State was another 7-year project.
Yeah, I think this would be a 3-year. This would be a 3-year project for Mario. This is my opinion.
This would be a 3-year project for Coach Mario's caliber. Now, Luke Fickell, on the other hand, he may need some time.
Well, he might never get there. Manny's never get there. Luke Fickell is Al Golden. Okay, I mean, to me,
basically
same thing.
Basically, if Al Golden would have changed our field, that's where we'd be right now.
Right.
You got to
right. Correct.
We would be Cincinnati. We'd be pretty good. Golden was a great recruiter, regardless of what anybody says. Golden was a pretty good recruiter. And we'd be Cincinnati, a team with a lot of seniors that's been around. He recruited good players, and we'd win. And then once all those seniors graduate, it's kind of like back to the drawing board again for a couple of years. And I'm not sure if that's what we want, or if that's what the fans would be happy with, as much as they like to throw these guys. Oh, Mark Stoops is the other guy. How long did it take him to build that at Kentucky? It's a while.
He's been there a while, and he's done this before. Like, he's had teams that are at the same level as his team this year before at Kentucky. But this is their ceiling. Like, they can't get any better than this.
Right. This is their ceiling. And once they lose a certain number of players, they'll take another 3 or 4 years before they get this good again. So we need a home run hire. We need a guy that's going to come in, a program changer, a guy that's going to want to come in and change the program immediately. I know there aren't too many of them left, but Mario Cristobal may be the last of the Mohicans, the last of that group. Because, you know, like, Nick Saban ain't leaving Alabama no time soon. Urban's not coming here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he's not coming here. Urban Meyer could change his program around. Next year we'd be competing for, you know, like for a playoff or for the ACC, not just the Coastal. So, yeah, do I want to see Manny lose? Not really. I don't. I always kind of was rooting for Manny, you know, and like his passion is just undeniable. Like, you feel bad for the guy, you know, because he wants to win. He just doesn't have. He just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have what it's going to take to win these games at Miami, and it's unfortunate, you know. It's just real unfortunate because I want to see the guy win. I think we all do. But at this point, it's like, is it too late? Should we cut the cord now? Should we get in front of this thing? Get in front of this thing like everybody else. You know, like Texas Tech just fired their coach just this week on Monday. And nobody's waiting to the end of the year. Everybody's positioning themselves for the few good coaches that there are left, so they can make the decision more sooner than later. I mean, I get it. I would say if you know you're going to let go of Manny, just let him go, or just let him know, or just do what LSU did to Orgeron. Listen, we're just going to let you play out the rest of the season, and then from there on, we're just going to go in a different direction. So if you know you're going to fire the guy, put him out of his misery. You know, just put him out of his misery. It doesn't make sense to keep him around and let this guy have hope in the thinking, wow, you know, I could turn this thing around if I win week by week and hopefully go on a streak and win the rest of my remaining games and make it to the ACC championship. And unfortunately, could possibly win it because the whole ACC is a mess. Clemson's not a powerhouse anymore. I'm still waiting for Wake Forest to take a couple of L's. And who's to say Manny wins out, we get the luck of the draw, we make it to the ACC championship game, and we end up playing North Carolina again and beating them, and then what?
Well, you can't play North Carolina. They're in the Coastal.
State. We end up playing North Carolina State again and beating them, and then what? And then now it's like, oh, shit, now we're going to the Orange Bowl, a New Year's Six game. Put the guy out of his misery. If you don't want him, say you don't want him. But then, you know, this is a dilemma. If you don't want the man, just say, listen, Manny, regardless of what you do, we're going in a different direction. But at that point, if the guy makes a New Year's Six game, which I'm not saying he will, is it likely? No, it's very not likely. But is it probable? It could happen.
Well, and by the way, Miami winning the Coastal is a very remote situation. I mean, Pittsburgh would have to lose twice.
Gary, it's a disaster.
Yeah, Pittsburgh has to lose twice. If Virginia wins out and you're in a tiebreaker with Virginia, you don't win the tiebreaker. I mean, it's very remote.
Duke may go on a run and just start beating people at this point. You know, but that's pretty much it, Gary. I got on kind of late. I want to give other people a chance to get on.
All right, man. Thanks for being part of the show.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Gary.
Let's go to the 850. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary.
850, you with us? Hey, who's this?
Hey, it's Travis up here in Tally.
Travis, talk to us. What you got?
Yeah, another night, man. Another night. Just try and make a couple quick points because everybody really hits them. A couple callers ago, you had a guy that was very knowledgeable about Oregon. I've watched him since the Bilotti days, man, because, they were always fun to watch. But Stanford's always been that team. You know how everybody has like kind of a crappy team that always like sneaks up on them every year or whatever? It's Stanford. They're built in the exact opposite way that Oregon has always been built, where Oregon's kind of small, built on speed and, you know, boom or bust plays. Stanford's, you know, that Wisconsin offense, you know, we got 3 tight ends and we all weigh 300 pounds and check us. You know what I mean? So, like, that's just
but all
like
that said, if the referees don't make those couple calls, Oregon doesn't lose that game.
Exactly, yeah. That game was, I hate to, because my name's Travis and somebody used this word earlier, but that was a travesty. You know what I mean?
It was. It was terrible. It was terrible. I mean, that's their top team that's already put a big win up on the scoreboard on the road, and you're like taking them out like that with baloney calls like that. That's horrible. I mean, horrible.
Yeah. No doubt. So there's been a lot of talk of why you do or don't fire Manny right now, like beyond the North Carolina State game. It's the toxicity around the program. That's the only answer. You listen to every 3 hours that we do every Tuesday, and what's the conversation? It's the same conversation over and over and over again. That's why you get rid of this. You end all of it, all the speculation, all the trash talking, all the crazy fans that want to fly banners. You get rid of it all. You get rid of me, like every post that Miami has saying fire Blake James. You know, I mean, you end this crap. You know, you get it out of the air right now. That way the recruits that are even kind of remotely on the fence, which is probably none of them, you know, they can at least be like, you know what, maybe I'll hold off until February, like Shamar Stewart's doing. You know, maybe I'll check out and see if they're going to fire Manny and who they're going to get. You know, that's a big deal moving forward. Got to go here that Team Matt Shodell all the way. You know, if we're going to fly a banner, Team Matt Shodell, because the guy's spot on every morning. Love his shit, man. He's on point. You know why you don't play Gervin Hall? Because you already know what you're going to get from Gervin Hall, from your conversation, I believe, this morning or whatever. Like, if he takes bad angles consistently, if he misses plays consistently, well, this is in regards to whether you play Avante Williams over Gervin Hall, then absolutely you play Avante Williams. Because you already know what you've got.
But this is what I was arguing with Matt about. Wait, time out, Travis.
Go ahead.
This is what I was arguing with Matt about as it pertains to that. We don't know jack crap about what Avante Williams can do in a football game. We don't know.
Are you not willing to take the gamble?
Are you kidding me? If my life is on the line, if my entire career is on the line, if my future's on the line, and I've got a kid that everybody thinks is great, but he doesn't know jack diddly about what he's supposed to do out on the field, no, I'm not putting them out there. And we have no clue what Avante Williams knows.
I'm on the exact opposite plane of that existence right there. If I am Manny Diaz,
and you'll lose the head coach too.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I bet you if they do put Avante out there, he'll look 10 times better than Gervin will. And I'm the biggest Gervin fan, dude. That was my guy coming out. That guy.
He also could go left when he's supposed to go right and give up
and there will be
a touchdown
plays
pass.
that happen like that because he's a freshman.
Yeah,
yes,
we're seeing him
absolutely.
anyway.
That's what happens. But I bet you he gets an interception or something or does a play that you're like, wow, Gervin would never do that.
And you're basing that
opinion
on what? This is the same argument I had with Matt this morning. You're basing that opinion on what? On what?
The fact that he's not Gervin Hall, and we haven't watched 4 years of him doing the exact same shit.
I'm not Gervin Hall either.
Do
you think I could just walk out there and play safety for Miami? I mean, I'm just saying. No. I'm not saying what would happen. I don't know what would happen.
We've maybe ever had. Period. Like, I mean, he is beyond atrocious. I'm sorry.
Has struggled
every
single season. I agree. He has struggled every year.
Wow.
However, I don't think that means
he's a good kid. You know.
No, I'm sure he is a good kid, but I'm just saying he has struggled every year. But that does not mean we can just throw him out on the football field and he's guaranteed to play well and he's guaranteed to know what he's doing.
I'm not saying he's guaranteed to play well or even know what he's doing, but I say that he's guaranteed to at least play up to Gervin Hall's ability from what we've seen from the last 3 or 4 years of Gervin Hall. That's I think, the point that really needs to be stressed there. There is no possible way that Avante Williams cannot play up to Gervin Hall's ability that we have seen for the last 3 years. I think that's what Matt wanted to convey. I think that I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but there's just no possible way that Avante Williams could play any worse. And there's a litany of dudes. And that's why I said I'm Team Matt, because, yes, you have to turn this roster over. We're losing so many seniors at the end of this. Not losing, thank the Lord. Please be on, go. But you have to flip those other 15 players that he's talking about. You know what I mean? Because we already know what we got. What is Cleveland Reed doing on this team? Where is he? What is he doing? You know, I mean, he
was gone, and they brought him back. He was gone.
Nothing. Exactly.
And they brought him back to not play. This is why they're getting fired. This is why they're getting fired, Travis. It is program management malpractice.
Yes, everything from Blake James on Friday. It's a total enema. You got to get rid of Blake James. You got to get rid of Manny Diaz and all of his staff, and you have to get back to the fundamentals of what a football team is, and that's evaluate, recruit, develop. I've been saying it for years on this. That's the three fundamentals of football right there. You know, if you have good evaluations and you have good recruiting and you get to develop them, you win championships. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science. Football's not rocket science. We all see it. We're all smart. Every caller on here tonight's been very smart and intelligent about what they said. You know, I mean, it's you just do it now before the toxicity. We don't need to sit here every week and have these same discussions. Just get it over with. We all know where Manny Diaz is. It's not going to change. Like the one caller said earlier, FIU alone should have got him fired. I mean, but yeah, please get some more callers on. Gervin Hall cannot play.
And I'm on Team Matt with you. Matt's great. And we love debating with each other. We're not going to agree on every single thing. Some of these things, it's not like there's a right or wrong.
That's what makes the show great, is that you guys debate.
Yeah, and the thing I understand is that, like, yeah, okay, so Avante Williams was a nice prospect coming out of high school. He hasn't done a damn thing in college yet. He hasn't done. He was on the field for 8 plays last week. We don't know jack diddly about what Avante Williams is going to be able to do. That would be like saying Lorenzo Lingard is going to be the next Walter Payton. Well, like we could have made that assumption too. How wrong would we have been? You know, I mean,
right,
it's like
right.
Mark Pope is going to be
worse.
the next Michael Irvin. Like, we would have been kind of wrong on that one too.
Avante could be worse.
I think Gervin Hall's been pretty bad, but I do understand why. Up until last week, when Manny just finally threw in the towel on Gervin Hall, that up until last week, I do understand why he would have played him. I mean, I do. I understand how coaches think. All right, Travis,
how about
thank
every
you so much
player
for being
that's
part of the show,
playing
man.
better for Miami right now is actually, he's been forced to put in there, whether it's the quarterback, it's the running back, it's Ja'Kai Clark that they were going to redshirt, it's Leonard Taylor, it's James Williams, it's Cam Kittredge. You know, every one of those players, he's been forced into playing. Like, what does that speak to as a head coach?
He's getting fired, Travis. I mean, he's almost definitely getting fired. I mean, you know, these are the reasons why. It's, you know, use of personnel, it's ability to recruit, it's ability to develop, it's ability to hire coaches. It's everything, man. It's like,
everything.
You know, this is tough. It's a tough job, man. All right, thanks as always for being part of the show.
Much.
Talk to you next week. All right, going to put that as the last call for calls tonight, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Still got a couple more to get to, but if you want to get in on the show, you better get on the board right now. Let's go to the 786. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, what's up, Gary? You always get me in late.
You call late. Who's this?
Oh, I actually called early and Q hung me up some kind of way. But anyway, let me get on with it. This is Flex.
Hey, what's your name? What's your name?
Is Flex. Flex.
Hey, what's up, Flex? How you doing, man?
Hey, how are you? Hey, I'm doing good. Quick questions, Gary. What would happen if how would recruiting go if Miami were to fire Manny right now? Who would take over the contact with prospects and that type of thing?
Doesn't matter.
How would that go? I'm just.
You would name an interim head coach. Well, I'm telling you, just let me answer. You would name an interim head coach, and then the same coaching staff would be in charge of all of that. And I'm guessing they would take Mike Rumpf out of the recruiting office and make him a field coach, since he's been a field coach. Or they could theoretically do that with Ed Reed if they wanted to, or whatever. And that's what would happen.
Okay.
But
okay. I just
how are you supposed to recruit when you don't even know who your coach is going to be? They wouldn't be recruiting anyway.
So here's my thing, Gary. Just like last week, I talked to you about the administration. I talked to you about it all starts at the top. And I was listening to you and Matt's show this morning. And first of all, off topic, on topic, Gary, Matt's right, bro. Like, I mean, you know, I'll get to that later. But look, the recruiting part of it, I think that the administration and the university would be better off getting rid of Manny and letting the interim and whoever else recruit to Miami, because one thing that the recruits are hearing and everybody knows, Manny's not good. He's never been good. He should have been fired after Louisiana Tech and FIU. You said it but one thing you said from the beginning, you did everything but say he was the wrong hire, and it's showing itself. But I think that we can sell recruits better on, hey, we don't have a head coach now, but hey, Miami's going to bring somebody big and good in. Do like the quarterback from Georgia did and recruit to the school and trust that we're going to bring in a great coach at the University of Miami. It's better than having a lame duck coach who the high school coaches are telling their players, hey, you don't even know if Manny's going to be there. Everybody knows Manny's not going to be here. I think it's a much better way to handle things. Number one, I don't know if you agree with me, but I mean, put yourself in this position, Gary. If you loved Miami, right, as a parent, right, or a coach, high school, right, and you knew the head coach was not going to be there, but the administration has reached out to you and your player, whether you're a parent or a high school coach, and they're telling you, hey, listen, we moved on from Manny Diaz, but we're going to bring in a great hire. We want this program back to winning championships. That's a far better pitch than Manny's here, but he's a lame duck. He probably won't be here. Am I right or wrong?
I don't think it matters. I don't think anybody's committing while the whole thing is state of flux. Plus, I don't. You're asking my opinion. I don't think anybody's committing regardless. I think all you can do is try to maintain what you have so far. And then the new coach is going to come. And then the new coach is going to come in and he's going to look at that list of 8 or 9 guys and he's going to decide if he wants them. So you're just holding. You're a placeholder for a month. I mean, it's fine. I mean, you can do it, but I don't think Shamar Stewart's not coming to Miami because you fire Manny and make Jeff Simpson the interim head coach, and now you got an interim head coach, and Shamar Stewart's not changing his mind and coming to Miami instead of Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas A&M.
I totally disagree. Number one, because he wants to come here, but he's uncertain because of the uncertainty of the program. Now watch this.
And that uncertainty is not changing until there's a new administration in place. So there's a new head coach.
Let me say this, and I'd like some callers to chime in on it, right, on the message board. Listen to this. If you're Shamar Stewart, right, you want to go to Miami, but you know that the coaching situation there is kind of just, you don't know, right? You fire Manny, right? You reach out to Shamar Stewart and you tell him, hey, listen, Manny's not here, but this university, we're going to go out and hire the best coach available to get us back to where we want to be. I think that's a far better chance. Let's just chance. Right. I'm not saying it's 100%.
Shamar Stewart ain't signing anything until the 3rd week of December.
Gary,
okay.
All I'm saying, I didn't say that, Gary. I just said
so. Whoever the new coach is going to call him anyway.
Gary, I just said you give yourself a far better chance now to making him not commit anywhere else and to wait and see. How about this? Shamar Stewart may say, I want to go to Miami. Now you put Shamar Stewart in a situation where, hey, I better wait and see who Miami hires. They might hire the coach who I really want to play for. It could be Mario Cristobal. That's who I want anyway. It could be Lane Kiffin. That's my second choice. But I'm just hypothetically speaking. Now Shamar Stewart's in limbo because he wants to go to Miami, but he won't go because he doesn't know where it's going. But if you fire Manny now guess what some of those recruits may do? They may sit back and wait to see who Miami hires. Because if Miami makes the best hire, guess what they're going to do?
Flex. Listen to me for a minute. If Shamar Stewart wants to go to Miami, he's not committing anywhere until he sees what happens in Miami, right?
Gary, not if you still have Manny here. And some people are
But
saying,
does Shamar Stewart have a gun? Wait. Come on, man. Does Shamar Stewart have a gun to his head that he has to commit right now? No. He hasn't committed anywhere. He doesn't even have to commit the third week of December, Flex. He can wait till February to sign.
All right, so basically what I'm saying doesn't make any sense.
So if in his heart of hearts, Shamar Stewart wants to come to Miami, he doesn't have to do anything, bro. He doesn't have to do a thing.
You're right, but all I'm saying is it's a better look for the program for you to sell to possible recruits that, hey, listen, Manny's gone.
Okay.
So you don't have to.
If you want to believe that, it's fine. I would say that no recruit is making a commitment one way or the other until the real head coach is hired and they know what's going on. I don't think it matters what happens the next month. I don't think it matters whether Manny's there or not there. I think if it makes somebody feel better to get blood and send Manny on a vacation to where should we send Manny? Where should we send Manny? Where should we send them? What do you think? Where should we send them when we send them on vacation for the final month of the season? Should we get exotic and go Tahiti? It's the wrong time of year to send them. We can't send them to Europe. I mean, we could probably send them to the Caribbean. We could probably find a nice island in the Caribbean to send them to for the month of November, and then then you would feel better, right? You would have your blood, right? But that doesn't mean Shamar Stewart or Nigel Lee Kelly or any of these elite prospects that you would eventually want to go to Miami are going to sign with Miami because Manny's on vacation. Take a paid vacation, Manny. Everybody's going to want to come to the U. That's fantasy land, Flex.
I hate when you're not listening to me, bro. I never said that it was a guarantee. All I said was if you were a parent or if you were a high school coach, Miami would be on better ground right now to fire Manny than to hold on to a lame duck coach. That's all I said. And I asked if you agree with me.
Let me put it this way. Let's say my son is a blue chip football player, and man, I'm telling you, Flex, I would love to see my son go to Miami. Let me finish. I would love to see my son go to Miami, man. I just can't have him do it because Manny's there, and Manny's no good, and there's no future for him with Manny there. God, I would love to send my son to Miami. Oh, wow, Jeff Simpson's the interim head coach now. Oh, I'm sending my son to Miami now because Jeff Simpson's the interim head coach. Are you kidding me?
That's not what's going to happen, Gary. Gary, what are you talking about?
Of course that's not what's going to happen.
Gary, there's
no chance that's what's going to happen.
Gary, you totally missed me. Let me ask you something else, Gary. I heard you the other night. I listened to you and I listened to the show with you and Alonzo and the other guy and Lamar.
How's good?
And
Did you like Alonzo?
Did
you like Alonzo?
Gary, you were right. You were right on point with the hiring of Alonzo and the hiring of Mario Cristobal at Miami. Like you are dead on. You've been dead on about that for the
I need a couple hours, Flex.
Now.
That's all I need, man. Just let them put me in charge for a few hours. I will get it done.
Right. But the only thing I think you would, and I would vote for you to be in charge. But the only thing I got some reservations
need a couple hours.
Is what. But listen, the only thing I'm worried about you with is this, Gary. Lonzo said once we start saying at Miami, we need to win the Coastal. He said no. Lonzo said no. We should never do that. We should never do anything like that. And I'm always hearing you say the contrary. You're always, and I told you this before, even before I heard Alonzo say it the other night. And I called your show last year, and I said, Gary, you have a big platform and a big microphone. Why do you keep spewing out of your mouth things that are the opposite of what Alonzo said? You've said
you're misunderstanding. Like misunderstanding. I'm 100%. I am 100% aligned with Alonzo. I think like Alonzo. Flex. Wait, Flex. Wait. Alonzo and I are 100% aligned. Yeah, I'm going to use that word, aligned. Okay, we are aligned. I think just like Alonzo. But what I said was that if Manny doesn't win the Coastal this year, you had to make a change. That winning the Coastal was the measurement for success and not success. That's what I said for this singular season, Gary, with this head coach.
You said it last year.
Not for the program forever.
Okay.
Win the Coastal to keep your job and have a chance to go to year 4. That's what I said.
But here's the thing, Gary.
I mean, you have to live in reality. Like, you know,
we're in reality. But Gary, you being you, Gary. Once again, should we
have said Manny has to win the national title this year to keep a shot? Like, come on, you're better than this, man. I used to think you were a good caller.
Oh, Gary, that's what Alonzo said. All I'm saying, I think you're taking.
You had me, man. I was on the flex train a few calls back.
Gary,
the last 2 weeks have been rough.
Last point, Gary, before I hang up. Like when you say, like, how could we fire Manny, right? If he's just won 6 games in a row, right? You said that earlier, right? Here's how, Gary.
If he wins the ACC.
No, before that you said even 6 games, even the ACC. But listen to this. Here's how we should fire him and why we should, right? This is what I expect out of you because I love your show. I'm a supporter of you, so forth and so on, right? But here's how you should be saying fire his ass anyway. You know why? Here's an example. LSU just fired Ed Orgeron 21 months after a national championship. Not only did they fire him after
think about how much was going on there to lead to that.
It doesn't matter.
That wasn't just losing games. That wasn't just losing games, Flex. That guy was a train wreck as you know, off the field as well. There was all kinds of stuff going on with women, with bringing women's kids to practice, having them out on the field running drills with players, and that's just what. And that's only what's come out, Flex. Imagine how much hasn't come out.
But Gary, my point is, and just like USC fired Clay Helton, because USC, and if you notice in recruiting, right, if you pay attention to USC's recruiting, there's no turmoil. All of those kids, I think they're still top 10 if I'm not mistaken, right? You know why, Gary? Because of what I just told you earlier. Clay Helton's out there. There's an interim head coach at USC, but they got rid of the lame duck, right? And I'm sure they're telling their recruits USC is going to make a splash higher. It's got to be what's keeping those kids there. USC ain't winning shit. They ain't doing nothing on the field. There's an interim head coach there, but guess what they did, Gary? They got rid of what was the inevitable right now. And the last thing I want to say,
7 years,
and the last thing,
7 years.
It doesn't matter. There's
a difference. There's a difference between 7 and 3. Okay, if Miami fires Manny Diaz after 3 years, that's going to be the most. That's going to be the most. Flex, if they fire Manny Diaz after 3 years, that will be the most aggressive that they have been with a head coach in the modern day era of the program. Certainly since 1979. Now, I would have to go back and research the early 70s and the 60s to be totally accurate on this, but very rarely does a head coach get fired after 3 seasons. That's an indictment that, man, we really screwed up.
I love your show, man. I'm gonna keep supporting you. I would just love if you would just put more fire to that ass on these fucking coaches and the administration because
I have put plenty of fire, man.
You got the power. All right, that's it.
I've put funny. I called this out from day one, Flex. I called this. You know
did.
that.
You did.
The day it happened, I said this was a disaster.
You did.
So
you definitely did. You
right,
definitely
man.
did that. 100%.
Thank you.
All right, next week.
I know, man. Thank you, man. Hey, man, thank you for being part of the show. All right, guys, I got a couple more callers on the line. I'm going to get to you guys in a second. I just want to very quickly touch on the topics and questions that were submitted on the message boards at CaneSport.com. Thoughts on TBD cashing the check he wrote with his mouth earlier last week. I love it, but I'm not the least bit surprised that Manny shut him down and told him this week, no more predictions, young man. So I don't think you're going to see that again. The kids are fighting hard, but in their heart of hearts, do they want to change? Man, that is a tough question. I can't answer that one. But you know what I am going to do? I am going to save that one for tomorrow night, and I'm going to ask Lamar Thomas that question because he's been in locker rooms. He's been a player. He's much better equipped than me to answer that question. So I am going to save that one for the Lamar Thomas show tomorrow night. Manny now turning on the fans for his poor recruiting. Seriously, listen, Manny is fighting for his life. He's going to spin anything he can in any way he can. I get what he's saying. What he's saying is when the fans turn on the program, no recruits are going to come. They're not. But the onus is on the program to be good enough so that the fans don't turn on the program. So, yeah, I get it. I get the question. I get what Manny's doing. It's just the whole thing's a bad dynamic when you're not good enough at Miami. How screwed are we in recruiting? We just talked about that. Very screwed right now. but I do think that can change. If there's a change and they hire somebody like Mario, I do think recruiting will get better, and I do think that they will do very well in the transfer portal also. With all the injuries that the players are sustaining, is that a direct byproduct of the fact that they don't do live tackling and contact in practices? The kids' bodies aren't prepared for the physical beating. That one is way beyond my pay grade. Interesting question, though. A for the quality of the question. I just can't answer it. I have no idea. If you tackle more and hit more in practice, does that make your body hold up better on game day against the stresses of game day? And do you not get injured as much? I don't know. That's for somebody that's an expert in that department. Great question, though. Let's go to the 615. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary.
What's going on? Who's this?
This is Mark from Nashville.
What's up, Mark? What you got for us, man?
Hey, well, I didn't expect that. There's usually not this much recruiting talk, but so normally I'm kind of a recruiting junkie. I like it, even though it's about as frustrating as the games are these days. But you're gonna have to chill for about another month. there's nothing to be a junkie about right now, Mark. There's just nothing much going on, man. Yeah. I mean, they're offering a couple kids that have no offers from any other Power 5 team. That's what's going on. I know. Yeah. So the only question I had, just a little more detail on the numbers. And you and Matt actually took one of my questions other morning or night or something, and Matt gave a pretty good analysis of it. But what's the deal? So we're at 87, and you can only be at 85, and so the problem is we have a bunch of players. We just have too many players that we can't add anymore.
Eventually,
is that where we're stuck?
Eventually, there's a lot of different things going on. I mean, eventually the NCAA wants teams to get back to 85. So teams are having to manage numbers, and then there's a transfer element to it. If kids leave, you're allowed to replace them and things like that. So there's a lot of things they're juggling. I mean, I can't go into all the ins and outs of it right this second. Matt understands it way better than me. But the bottom line is that you have to get back to 85 at some point in time. So teams are having to work back towards that. And Miami was way over 85 coming into the season. That's why you see them like kind of letting guys like Pope and Wiggins and a couple of the other guys that have disappeared during the season. That's part of that process. They're getting the numbers back.
Gotcha. Well, Matt said something about, you literally just you would literally have to just kick 15 guys off the team or off scholarship to really make this recruiting class, I mean, be able to take full advantage of it. I mean, is that actually a possible thing that Manny would actually have the guts to do that? Like the Cleveland Reed, like somebody like that that's taking up a scholarship but has we'll never see the field. No chance, really. I mean,
I think what would happen is if a new coach comes in, I think there would be some roster purging that would take place. I think, that guys that are like dead wood on the roster would probably be told you don't have a future here. And, they would be encouraged to go elsewhere. If they're close to graduation, they might carry them, for an extra semester or something. But those will be individual situations moving forward.
Yeah. But if we don't get a new coach, Manny probably won't do that, and we're probably looking at a pretty slim class.
Well, I wouldn't say that because Manny has done some of that. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right, man. Gotcha. You got anything else, real quick?
No, that's it. I was just wanting to clarify that. I was curious. I was just curious. We get all these we got extended numbers this year, and then our classes. He's talking about not being able to take many, so it didn't make sense.
Not a problem, man. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thanks.
All right, final call of the night. Let's go to the 973. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Gary. Let me end it off.
You're late.
Man.
You're late, Ross. Listen, you got
I'm very late, but let me end it for you, man.
You got 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Go.
Okay. Big time tackle. Nobody's talking about the tackle and whatever on that tackle to end the game. Nobody brings it up, but that's a big time tackle behind
Agreed.
the sticks, man. Nobody is talking about that. Everybody's talking about Van Dyke, and I appreciate him. I appreciate him to play well. I appreciate the play call to go to the tight end on the cross pattern, not to end the game, but on the cross pattern when he's coming out, he faked the handoff, flare out like a misdirection. He had his first read was the first tight end, then he hit the second Herrero, big time play. These are things. Listen, that kid from North Carolina State catches those balls twice. We're talking a different story, and this comes to my point. Manny still got to go. Win that game or not, I love the fact that the kids won the game, but he's got to go because his defense still showed a lot of holes. I'm not sure about a lot of stuff you guys talked about tonight. I'll go back and I'll listen, and that's a great way by you, too. You know, cheesy way, but a good way for us to listen to Lamar tomorrow. Oh, I just asked Lamar tomorrow, so check in with him. I like that, Gary. Very, very, very smart. Very smart. We was going to check in on the show anyway.
That was not the intent, Ross. I mean, I would hope that people like the Lamar show regardless of what I'm going to ask Lamar.
Yeah, you know me.
I just thought it was a good question for Lamar. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know I'm going to stick you with that. Come on, you should know me by now.
Yeah, you're unlifable, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to give you that.
All right, Ross.
I'm going to mess with you.
Ross,
nobody.
You're down to about a minute. Go.
That's cool. But listen, all this recruiting talk and all this, Gary, agua. You've had enough. Manny, it's time for us to slam the door on you. You called a timeout to give them time to run a play. Dude,
I don't think that's what happened, Ross. I personally thought he called timeout to settle his defense down. They had just taken
you don't settle your defense down there. Every coach in America and outside the United States know you don't do that. If we're going to give that up, you got to let them worry about that. And he's just
he's not the first one to take a defensive timeout.
It's time to stop playing in the.
I'll knock Manny for a lot. I'm not personally knocking him for that one.
Listen, it's time to turn my canes, my famous canes are a Lamborghini. It's time for him to turn the car in, drive it in, bring it in, brother, bring it in, park the shit, get your ass out of here. I'll talk to you guys later on. Appreciate the
Ross.
call.
Next week,
get him out of
here. Get in earlier next week. Yeah, we'll talk.
No, I wanted to come late, but I just.
All right, man. So sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. But anyway, I want to thank everybody that called in tonight. I thought the show was fantastic. Pretty much every call was great. My man Flex. He's a little out there right these days, but no, I thought every call was great, including Flex, and it was a lot of fun. Great show. Tomorrow night, 8:00, the Lamar Thomas Show. I'm going to promote it now. Sorry, Ross. Should be a great show as always. If you guys haven't gotten into the Lamar Thomas Show, I urge you to do so. It's that's another one that's been really, really good this year. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. We'll see what happens on Saturday up at Pittsburgh. And then until then, I'll say good night, everybody.